MT Paranormal Life. Hello. Vixen. Hello. Uso. Hello. I'm in good spirits. I hope you guys are too. We're going to be doing vampires, as you can see tonight. I got 2 good vampire ones coming up for Gemma's replays. We'll talk vampires if you want. I like vampires, but I'm more of a werewolf guy. I need to tell her to do more stuff on werewolves and dogmen. So, Latro, what's up? Oh, actually, that burger, I ate pretty good tonight, so I'll pass on the burger. But I'll take the bacon. That's a good nibble on. Yeah, we went to a birthday party. One of my oldest daughter, Ashley's daughter, baby book dragon. Her oldest birthday was while she was gone, and so when she brought her back home, because Ashley lives up in Kentucky, I'm in Kansas. Excuse me. Anyways, they had a birthday party for the ex's house today, and we were invited. It was fun. We ate good. Her husband, excuse me. As you can tell, I ate a lot. Cooked out, man. He's a griller and a half. He smoked a bunch of chicken wings, and oh my gosh, pasta. That was all good. So me and Pop ate good tonight. So we're all kind of in a good mood and full bellies. So I hope everybody's having a good weekend and had a good week last week. So have you got to do any of your things, Vixen? Your package should be coming soon. I'm trying to find a box that I can pack in so nothing happens to them on the way there. I'll send them UPS so you know. They'll be coming soon. And I'll let you know exactly when I send them, and I'll give you the tracking for it too. Guys, it's good to see everybody. Yeah, we're going to do vampires tonight. Like I said, I'm more of a werewolf guy, but the vampires have always been kind of interesting. They've got a lore, big time, almost everywhere. I went to the Renaissance. Oh, did you go today? Oh, fun time, good times. I'm glad you had fun. It's awesome. They're always a good time. So has it become more of cosplay now? I mean, they dress up anyways, but are you starting to see the elves and the anime characters showing up? Or was it pretty tame? I guess that's what happened last year at the one down south of me. Hey, Chris. How you doing, sir? So, yeah, we're going to do vampires tonight. The first one will be, I'm going to get dark here for a second. More on her second part on the search for real vampires. If you remember, we did it a long time ago. So I'm going to do the second one. And then after that, we're going to do Let's Talk About Real Vampires. And then I think next week, we'll do a couple of our missing person ones from the past. And then I'll make her do updates on them. So there we go. But yeah. You guys are just chatting it up. It's good to see everybody all chatting it up. Good to have everybody here. Yeah, I tell you what, folks, if you don't know a paranormal portal too, check them out. Check MT Paranormal Life out. Good channels. Hopefully I'll show up for Nighthawk tomorrow. We'll see how things go. I got to get up and do a few things before I can do anything. I got to get done because I was in the middle of cutting grass when I realized I was running late. So I got to finish that. I got a late start. Was doing stuff in here. Wasn't paying attention to time. I got up and do that. But I might be on at break time. I don't know if I'll go on screen with him. I'll probably look pretty rough. But yeah, hopefully I can be there because I got to get the stuff done. It's a lot. See, usually Sundays are my days. I usually don't do nothing, but it's been kind of slow starts the last few days, and the last actually 7 days. It's not as much slow as I'm doing small stuff and then trying to get to the big stuff by the end of the day, and it's working out. So just finished watching. Chief of War. Was it in and Eyes of Wakanda? I'm not worried about that. How was Chief of War? Honey of Fae folk and dragons. Really? Saw one guy dressed up like the Tom Baker Doctor Who on the big main Scottish festival. Yeah, that's the one I wouldn't mind going to. Yeah, I'm hearing that people are starting to go for it now. So just a good reason to dress up. It was great. I figured it would be. I like Jason Momoa. I would have liked to see him as Conan again, but with a better script and more Conan style. But we still may get Arnold back as Conan. I have sources saying that there has been a script. Arnold's just got to find the time, but they want to do it. We'll see if it happens. I've been saying that for years now, and I keep telling them, hey, man. Oh, there you go. Vixen, that sounds cool. Cool breeze. Oh, you'll look good. I bet you'll look fantastic. Yeah, that's the one I wouldn't mind. Only because, like I said, from what I understand about my heritage, we were Vikings. Norwegian, the North. Let's just say it that way, because man, my ability to talk is getting worse. Anyways, and that when they left, I mean, of course, you know, things kind of got older. I guess the family stopped in most of the Isles before they came over here. I'm still getting tracking. My brother's really getting into this, so we'll see. James Gunn and the Russo brothers just announced that they will be getting the Justice League versus Avenger movie in the next 4 years. For sure. Yeah, I'd like to see that. That'd be interesting, but I'm just waiting to see what they do with the rest of what they do from Superman on. I actually didn't mind it. I had a blast with it. No, it's not a great movie, but it's a good start, and it was a good way. I don't mind the family stuff because that was more family oriented, but it's a good way to bring kids back to comic books again. So yeah, we'll see. I heard that somebody actually said that they want to do Justice League Godzilla too. We'll see if that happens. That would be great. The books are not bad. If you've ever seen the books, I'm sure you have. I'm getting figures now. It was okay. Yeah, Giles, my son said the same thing, that Fantastic Four was better. I haven't seen that yet. But he went and saw it the other night. He said it wasn't bad. He said it was a lot better than Superman. So that's fine. That's good. Pascal better chill out, man. I guess he's getting a little slack about a little too much hands on too many things. Yeah, well, that's what you expect. But I know that movie that he did with Nicolas Cage is hilarious. People say that movie's just a riot. Nicolas Cage, you know Nicolas Cage, he'll play up anything he can. I always did like him. Like he just always comes off as kind of a screwy guy, anyways. And his version of Five Nights at Freddy was actually not bad. It was pretty good. Even though that's not what it was called. And there's another one he did that's really trippy, but man, he goes to town in that. Vampire Kiss, there you go. The Scottish DNA includes Viking Rush. Yeah, I know it does. Experiment didn't go well. Yeah, it's interesting because the more he looks into it and comes back with me, he tells me all kinds of stuff. And it's like, holy crap, how do you find it? He goes, man, his wife comes and goes a lot. So they used to work for the post office. And he says when he gets bored at night, that's what he does. It's trying to trace the family tree. And then once he gets over here, it gets a little smudgy. He says he's having problems connecting people. But yeah, from what we understand, I'll tell you what, I don't mind being a Viking, though. I've heard it all. We weren't as bad as everybody said they were. We were kind of a little greedy, but yeah, I heard it was coming back. I kind of liked King of the Hill. There was some moments I really didn't care for, but I got bored of Family Guy really fast. It's just another one just keeps trying to keep going. What time we got? I'm going to start this about 11:30. Always try to start about 11:30. Hello, everybody. For all the people who are just coming in, please make sure you hit that thumbs up for me, please. And if you hang around, enjoying the chat, I'll be starting the video, the uploads pop. Well, I might start a little early. We'll see how everybody wants to go. But if I don't start soon, I usually start at 11:30. Like I said, the first one I'll be playing will be the second version from a one we did a while back ago. And if you'll know it's one of our older videos, and it's a search for real vampires. She did one about a year or so before this one that we already watched. So we're going to watch this one. And then I'm going to do another one. I figured tonight I'd pick a topic. And then after this, we're going to watch Let's Talk Real Vampires, which is the third one, which is, well, I'll probably do that one first because that one's 3 years old. Then the second one will be the More Search for Real Vampires. She did 3 altogether. The first one that she did was called Real Encounters with Vampires, which is probably about a year before these. So, but we'd love to hang around, sit back, relax, enjoy a night, get away from the political crap and drama, and watch a little paranormal fun, and I'll stick my nose in every so often. I'll turn the mic on probably when I say hi to people that as they come in. I'd love to see you guys. I'm glad you're here. Just remember, donations are a big help right now. So if you could give, please do so. Watch her shorts. I'm doing shorts, but she puts some of mine with hers, and then I have some. So please don't be afraid. Check them out. I'm just having fun. She's pretty much doing the same. I'm not worried about views. I'm just been messing with the AI. I do it for a while, do a bunch of them, drop them, then do a bunch of them, drop them. And how do oracles? Don't forget about us on Friday nights at 7. There may be some changes coming up. We'll see. I will be here I should be here Wednesday. I'm thinking if the viewer count stays low, I may do away with it or try to go later. But it's hard for me to do that at night on a weeknights because I do a lot of stuff. Actually, I'm always going, but those during the week with his doctor appointments and mine and trying to get stuff done. So what we'll do is we'll see how we do next Wednesday. I may start earlier. I may start later. I try not to walk on other shows and streamers' feet because I'm just hanging out. Drama. You mean like every talking about that fight last week on every news station? Yeah, that kind of drama. Yeah. I'm not big about that. I mean, there's some crap going down. I know politically there's a lot going on, a lot of division going on. So, and I just try to give you guys a break. Gemma tries to give you guys a break. She tries to keep as much politics off the channel as possible. So don't always yell at me about that. Yeah, well, it's not just happening there, dude. It's happening everywhere. I've been in Cincinnati. It's just a bad situation everywhere. I'm on a new phone trying to sort it out from spare parts. Okay. Oh, you're on it's funny because on my StreamYard, it looks like a phone, but on the YouTube, it's actually a monitor. So you got a new PC. You're working on your new PC, huh? I know people who were there. The Russian guys started it. Oh, probably it would. I mean, my problem is it shouldn't have been that bad, but you're gonna hear stuff. It's done in my eyes. It's done and over with. Everybody should get in trouble for it because it always takes two, man. It always takes two. Even I will admit that. So I don't think it was just a random act. There's so much more to the story, but of course everybody's gonna twist and pull it. So I'm glad somebody knows some of the truth, but I don't want to deal with it anymore. I'm so fatigued out, and I'm just staying alert. There's too much going on. I mean, I'm alert. I'm aware. Let's put it that way. But I gotta have nights like this where I just have fun. I mean, the old man's on it all day, so. It wouldn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I was gonna say it. It wouldn't surprise me. But let's move on. Because it's when you have that much people in one place, it's always something's gonna happen. It's bullshit. Yeah, I know it was a big crowd. John, I guess, was down there. My friend. I talked to him the other day. He said it was crazy. He said a lot of out-of-towners. Tons of out-of-towners. And that's what he said too. Oh well. You can get it around here downtown. We grabbed a lot of skyline. Now let me prep up this other one and get it going. Okay, that's good. That's good. This, wait, is it ready yet? Nope. This is the one I want to do first. Oh, stop. Gabby. Oh, that's right. Oh, she looks so serious there. And who cries loud, Scott? No, it's just crazy. And we had the music festival. Yeah, I know you had the music festival, the jazz fest, the Reds game. Yeah, I know that was going on. Yeah, the big three. Yeah, Giles was talking about that the other day. We've got the NH Hatch green chills coming into the grocery. Cheddar cheese with it now. Wow. Are you at the store? No, I'm just kidding. Or are you looking through the grocery shopping list on you? But yeah. Trying to make sure everything is okay. There we go. Well, the problem was they didn't have enough bacon to pass around down there to make it be all nice and chilled and happy. That's what happened. Somebody gone down there with tons of bacon, nicely cooked, perfect. I walked around and started passing around. Everybody been happy. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get this set up real quick because wait till you see the face on her where I stopped it. Anyways, okay, let me get this up here. They changed everything and I hate it. Actually, I'm getting kind of used to it. There we go. Let's do this for right now. Let's switch it. And then when I'm ready to start, look at that face. She looks mad. She give me a look like, get on with it. Okay, Gemma, we're going to get on. Sit back, relax. I'm going to make this a full screen real fast. Do that. Carry this. This. Do this. I'm going to start, and then I'll flip it around on the screen when she gets started. What a she looks so angry.
What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. And
if you hear that okay, let me know.
Welcome. My name is GemmaJadeYT, but today we are going to be discussing one of my most favorite.
Let me know the sound's good on it. I know I'm a little low because
in the entire world, and that is vampires. I wanted to find encounters.
You guys hear it okay?
Just like the first video, real encounters. It just didn't work out for me.
It is kind of low.
As you all know, or maybe you don't yet, I've had a lifelong obsession with vampires. Okay. The real and original creatures of the night, though, not the
it is low.
Real vampires.
So you might have to turn it up a little bit.
Wherever else they're running around claiming to be real until they're.
She tends to have that with some of her. Oh, is it fine? I know on my end it is low. Sometimes I have problems with her sound. I don't know if it's my computer or the way it was recorded. But some of her videos are fine. A lot of her videos are fine, but every so often I get one that's like really low. But if you can hear it all right, we'll get on with it.
Their mom or someone else who knew them growing up gets fed up and decides to oust them publicly and shock the internet and online world. I'm also not talking about the sparkling and twinkling variety that lives hundreds of years just to do nothing better with their life than perpetually attend high school in search of the perfect teenage girl because she's the chosen one or whatever that story is. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, though. I definitely have watched and read every single one of those books. Every single book I could get my hands on, including the aforementioned ones in the young adult
Turner vampires.
Section. But no, though. I'm seriously talking about the deadly kind. I like to romanticize and assume they're all either like Eric or Bill from True Blood.
I never asked her if she saw the new
but I mean, you get the point here, right? It seems that for the most part, and on the rare occasion I do come across an actual alleged real vampire encounter, it's anything but romantic, as you can probably imagine. It's a lot like, but not entirely like, Lestat from Interview with the Vampire, only, again, less romantic. Sometimes even more gnarly and creepy as the ones I told in my first video about the same subject. I just can't get enough, but unfortunately, it seems that most of the time, those young adult and even mature fictitious tales are all I have to go by and all I have to lean on. Vampires are one of the very few things I haven't experienced in my strange and mostly paranormal life. They fascinate me while at the same time, some of the encounters that are said to be real are so incredibly grotesque. I am, if only for a moment, happy to have not had the displeasure of an actual encounter. Anyways, guys, this is just kind of talking about vampires that allegedly existed way back in the day. And this is all I can find, but I needed to do a vampire video. So many of you have been asking me about real vampires. Guys, I want to see one just as much as you, okay? I want to be turned too. The history of vampirism dates far beyond the fictional stories of Dracula and those dang adorable Cullen boys. Written accounts of evil, blood-sucking beings have been found in medieval texts, and vampire-like remains have been unearthed at a number of archaeological sites around the world, with findings published in actual scientific journals. There are modern-day reports of vampire sightings and even accounts of people stepping forward and admitting to being a vampire. Vampire-like animals and insects are scientifically known and proven to exist. So is it so far of a stretch to believe that vampire-like humans or vampires are among us too? Highgate Cemetery is a burial ground in London that dates back to 1839. This particular cemetery had a somewhat strange architecture, which was, believe it or not, highly sought after by London's elite. However, 15 acres were dedicated to members of the Church of England, and 2 acres were dedicated to people who did not belong to the church. On May 26, 1839, the very first person was ever buried there. It was a 36-year-old woman named Elizabeth Jackson. Totally irrelevant, but there's some history. In 1854, the cemetery gained an additional 20 acres due to economic prosperity, and it was connected to the existing acreage by an underground tunnel system. Always interesting. Highgate Cemetery boasts elaborate and eccentric architecture with buildings and catacombs. The gates to the cemetery closed in 1975, unfortunately due to bankruptcy. However, a society named the Friends of the Highgate Cemetery was created in order to preserve the cemetery for those families who maintain grave ownership there. Extensive conservation and restoration work has been undergone on the cemetery, and it's currently open as both a functional burial ground and a popular tourist destination. Speaking of London, as recently as 1970s, there was a so-called media sensation which focused on alleged supernatural activity behind the gates of the Highland Cemetery. A group of young people interested in the occult visited the cemetery in the late 1960s, around 1968, and this was a time when it was being vandalized by random intruders. It was reported that, quote, on the night of Halloween 1968, a graveyard desecration by persons unknown occurred at a cemetery in London. These persons arranged flowers taken from graves in circular patterns with arrows of blooms pointing to a new grave, which was uncovered. A coffin was opened and the body inside disturbed, but their most macabre act was driving an iron stake in the form of a cross through the lid and into the breast of the corpse, end quote. Nobody was ever caught or held accountable for this strange and somewhat macabre vandalism, but at the time, at least for people interested in and paying attention to such things, this report was linked with something called the Highgate vampire case. A man named David Ferrant reported that on Christmas Eve of 1970, he was passing the same cemetery and had glimpsed, quote, a gray figure, end quote, lurking about among the graves. He reported this in the local press because he said he knew it was a supernatural entity of some sort and was curious as to whether or not anyone else had seen something similar. On the 13th of February, people began to respond to his question in the same newspaper, and they ended up describing a great variety of ghosts or specters. And honestly, a lot of people laugh and mock this, but for someone like me who sees this kind of stuff all the time, well, wasn't really that funny. It was, I guess, a little strange though. These included a bicycling spirit, a tall man in a hat, which I believe is reminiscent of, at least in my opinion, the shadow entity Hat Man, a ghoulish face glaring through the bars of the cemetery's gate, a strange and ghostly apparition wading through a pond, a pale and gliding form of sorts, and they also claimed to hear whispering, disembodied voices calling out to them, and even bells ringing, which, if you've been following me for a while, if you purchase my book, you will know is also a sign of the Fae being near. So anyway, these ghosts and other entities were not only said to be haunting the cemetery itself, but a lake that was adjoined with it called Swain's Lake. A man named Sean Manchester almost immediately decided this figure originally seen lurking about was a real vampire, and the panic began. The media didn't help the frenzy, but stirred it, much like they do today, in my opinion. They released tales of this particular vampire being a vampire king, and there were also rumors of occult practices happening in the graveyard among the recently dug graves of the newly departed and buried. So apparently these two men who were making the most noise about the report started a weird and macabre rivalry. They would go back and forth with each other, each one exclaiming that he alone could defeat this vampire king who was roaming about the cemetery at night and possibly even feeding on the blood of the visitors or random teenagers with nothing better to do who ended up there after a night of too much partying and or drinking. Manchester declared he would hold an exorcism on March 13th, 1970, which just happened to be a Friday. Manchester, Ferrant, and others who claim to have seen supernatural figures in the cemetery.
This video is 2 years old.
These interviews were broadcast on the ITV network early on the evening of the 13th, and within 2 hours, a mob of so-called hunters from all over London and beyond swarmed over the gates and walls into the locked cemetery, despite police effort to control them, to get them out of there. It was a complete and total panic and frenzy, as I said. Nothing seemed to have come of this supposed seance, though. A few months later, on August 1st, the charred and headless remains of a woman's body were found not far from the catacomb where the king was said to rest during the daylight hours. On a later night in August, Ferrant was found by the police and arrested for being in the cemetery with a crucifix and a wooden stake. He said he was hunting the vampire who he and many others were now convinced had killed this poor victim who lost her head. The charges were later dismissed, but the damage was done, and the media got a hold of what he was carrying with him and arrested for, and everyone kind of just latched onto the fact that there was indeed a vampire, perhaps a vampire king, living in the London cemetery. So a few days after this Ferrand guy was arrested, of course, Manchester then had to make his own mark, and he claimed that this time he and his companions forced open the doors of a family vault, indicated by his allegedly psychic helper who he had in tow. He says he lifted the lid off one coffin, believing it to have been mysteriously transferred there from a previous catacomb. So levitating and moving coffins, or just poof appearing coffins, I don't know. He was about to drive a stake through the body it contained when a companion persuaded him maybe that wasn't the best idea, so reluctantly he shut the coffin, leaving garlic and incense in the vault instead. I think it prudent to mention here that both Ferrand and Manchester were magicians by trade, and it was rumored that on April 13th of the same year, 1970, which was also Friday the 13th. So March 13th, 1970 and April 13th, 1970, allegedly, according to my research, were both Fridays the 13th. And these two magicians by trade were going to have a magician's duel in the cemetery. But that was just rumor and speculation, as if everything else wasn't. I really don't know, guys. The mass hysteria, unfortunately, is actually really sad if you think about it. It resulted in the destruction of graves and the desecration of corpses. Some of these corpses were found later to be headless, stabbed with stakes, or even set on fire in what was a really gruesome turn of events. It was surprising, too. Teens were digging up graves and defacing the bodies of these long dead in order to stop what they saw as a potential vampire uprising. Now, this seems like kind of an over dramatized modern day version of things that happened all the time in previous centuries. And I included it here, though it's not very scary and maybe amusing to some of you guys. But I included it just to show you what I'm dealing with here in trying to find actual cases of real vampire encounters with some or any sort of evidentiary proof that they actually exist. I believe there could have been a vampire lurking about in the Highgate Cemetery, and he could possibly still be there. I'm not doubting that. I just think how everyone behaved created a mockery of it, and that's probably what the vampires were depending on, right? Like that's probably, this vampire was probably like, man, these humans, they'll be a-holes about it and they'll be gone soon enough. So here's another account of allegedly real vampires lurking around in cemeteries. Well, at least that's one piece of legend that seems to be very prominent in quite a few cases I've recently come across. This allegedly all took place in Mineral Point, Wisconsin in the 1980s. The following was written by author Lynn Gibson, and it was in her blog in 2013. Quote, in 1981, reports began to circulate about a vampire that had taken up residence in Mineral Point's Graceland Cemetery. Initial reports of activity in the graveyard prompted Officer John Pepper to investigate while patrolling the area one evening. Pepper entered the cemetery and began to make his rounds when he saw a tall, caped figure with a pale white face. The vampire, startled by this intrusion, fled from the officer who, by instinct only, gave chase until he saw the creature leap over a 6-foot barbed wire fence. The officer stopped in his tracks and returned to his squad car to make the report. He and a group of officers would return to the scene in the morning and attempt to follow the creature's tracks found on the opposite side of the fence. Not much more would come of the event other than some ribbing by fellow officers. The story fell silent for quite some time until March 14th, 2004, when police responded to several reports of someone sitting in a tree outside of an apartment complex that would leap upon his victims as they passed to enter. The description given by witnesses matched John Pepper's suspect from the Graceland Cemetery case. The creature remained at the scene until the police arrived. They reported that a 6-foot tall caped figure leapt from the tree and fled. The police gave chase only to find that the footprints disappeared at a 10-foot concrete wall. The area was scoured, but not a sign of the creature was found beyond the concrete wall. Once again, the story fell silent until July 11, 2008, when the police were dispatched again when a terrified young couple arrived at the station to report a tall caped figure with a white face had chased them. The witnesses, a young couple that were fishing off of a jetty at Ludden Lake, reported that they had heard noises coming from beneath them while fishing from that jetty. The couple stated that there was scratching under the wooden surface and that they could hear splashing and something climbing up beneath them. One of the witnesses, Brandon Hines, stood and began to stomp on the jetty, thinking it was an animal and that the noise would scare it away. He reported that this stomping only drew the creature closer to them. He shined his flashlight between the boards of the jetty to see the caped figure climbing up beneath them. He froze in horror as his girlfriend, Jamie Marker, fled the scene. When the creature approached, Hines threw the flashlight at it and fled behind Marker to their parked car, where she sat waiting for him with all of the doors locked. Hines entered the car and started the motor. He could see the caped figure speeding towards them as he jammed the car in gear. The couple fled to the Mineral Point police station to file their report. 2 patrol units were dispatched to the site, but found nothing other than the young couple's fishing gear that was all still accounted for, with the exception of the flashlight. Mineral Point was one of the first communities settled within this particular area. Mining was the main attraction in the 1800s. The newly installed railway system brought wealth and population to the small town, as it was where the tracks ended. There are many stories of ghosts and paranormal activity within the area. Perhaps one of the haunted legends of Mineral Point contains a clue of where the vampire could have originated from, end quote. There also seems to be a werewolf on the prowl in Mineral Point, or at least there was back when this vampire thing was going on, or I think in the 1980s. I have to leave that for another time, though. Not really the right video. We're Team Edward right now. So what do you guys think about that one? It's nothing if not at least a bit creepy, right? I mean, a pale, caped figure. I'm not really sure. I wish a vampire would just approach and offer to turn me already. Here is a little overview of a few seriously questionable legends from around the world of vampires, which I might go more in depth into each one at some point later on, depending how you all feel about it, of course. After all, I aim only to please the masses. By the end of this, most will probably still be just as confused, and in some cases, as with myself, disenchanted about the legends of old and new. Still hoping they're out there somewhere and looking for someone awesome to turn. That would be me. I'm just saying. In Bulgaria, vampires were said to start out as ghost-like creatures before they could physically rise from their graves. In its early stage, the vampire could only be seen faintly by the human eye. During the night, however, their forms gave off easily noticeable sparks. In 1863, the village of Dekakau, and I am definitely pronouncing these wrong, was reportedly plagued by a mob of young, sparkling vampires. I guess I was wrong about that one, huh? The vampires attacked villagers, screamed outside their homes, and threw cow poop at pictures of saints. Although the vampires had not yet taken physical form, they could still be seen sparkling in the streets. An old witch eventually decided that enough was enough, and she went to the local cemetery. When she found the vampires' graves, she realized that they must have been escaping through the holes in their tombstones. The witch sealed the holes, and Dekakau never experienced trouble with vampires again. In his 1837 work, Travels in Crete, Englishman Robert Pashley recorded a strange vampire story. Before Pashley had visited Crete, a shepherd had unknowingly fallen asleep in front of the sepulchre of Katakana, a local kind of vampire. That night, a voice in the tomb asked the shepherd to move his weapons, which the shepherd had accidentally left in the shape of a cross. The shepherd figured that the voice belonged to Katahanas, but agreed to get out of the way if the Katahanas wouldn't hurt anybody. So he's like, yeah, I'll move my stuff that's in the shape of a cross that's obviously bothering you for whatever reason, you evil being, if you promise, don't hurt anyone. Sure enough, though, and somewhat unsurprisingly, the vampire killed some newlyweds on this first night out and returned home with a liver. The generous Katahanas offered his guest a piece of the snack, and then the shepherd left to tell some priests what had happened. A mob later gathered at the tomb and burned the creature to ashes. However, one fingernail had to be set on fire twice before it was finally destroyed. In the late 12th century, historian William of Newburgh recounted a story that he had heard from an elderly monk about a reanimated blood-sucking corpse that stalked the area of Anantis Castle. The vampire had once been a Yorkshire man who took refuge in the castle, possibly fleeing from his enemies or from the law. The man had been a terrible person while alive, and he was even worse as a vampire. His stench poisoned the air wherever he went, and he was always being chased by howling dogs that the devil had sent after him. After the town was all but depopulated, 2 brothers finally decided to do something about it, and they went to the cemetery and dug up the vampire's body, and they smashed it and hit it with their shovel. The vampire's body was bloated, and after being hit, it let out all of the blood that it had allegedly been sucking. To destroy the creature, the brothers cut out its heart and set its body on fire. Guys, that's all I have for you today. And I gotta say, man, I still don't have a freaking clue. I don't want to be like, well, Wouldn't we have something credible in our modern day by now? Because there's so much stuff I see and come across that just doesn't make much sense on a regular basis. I wanted to find real and true encounters with real and true vampires, but this is the stuff I'm left with. Some of it probably is real, at least what they did to the graves, that they thought people were vampires. I believed in the pale caped figure. I really do. The town was almost depopulated in that last one. Why? They don't go into more detail. Perhaps someday soon I'll reach my energy out and poke around a little bit. Every once in a while when I do this, I come across something that isn't quite human, something with a lot more than a regular human brain with human thoughts. Maybe I'll reach out and find the mind of something ancient with a thirst for blood. If I do, I'll definitely let you guys know. Please be sure and give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, if you enjoyed hanging out with me,
and
if
never
you had
forget,
fun,
you guys
and
go
if
back
you
to
like
watch the one that
vampires,
she
I
did before this.
suppose.
If you didn't catch
Spread
it
the love by sharing this
earlier
video and
streams.
subscribe if you haven't already. If you are subscribed, be sure your notification bell is turned on. Thank you very much. Also, if you would do me the great favor of checking out the description box, there you will find a link to my Wednesday night live Oracle reading right here on this channel, where from 7:15 p.m. Eastern time to around 10:45, 11 p.m. Eastern time, so quite a long time, I give Oracle readings, one card Oracle readings to whoever wants one that comes to the chat. First come, first serve basis. It's a fun time. If you can't make the live, listen to it afterwards, because you may hear a message that resonates, and if you do, everyone gets their message at the time they're supposed to get it, from the universe, from spirit, from our angels, all that kind of stuff. So if you listen to it afterwards, if you can't make the live and there's a message in there that resonates with you, it's your message and it was your time to get it. Oracle is timeless, just like tarot. Also, you'll find my October 7th interview with Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio. I am going to be working with Big Willie Townsend and someone else, or maybe it's just going to be me and him, starting December 11th for the Spaced Out Radio After Hours show, starting at 11 p.m. Eastern time. More to come on that as I have it. Also, in the description box, you will find a link to my book on Amazon, Missing the Fae Theory by Gemma Jade, either the Kindle or paperback version. If you want a signed copy with a little note and, hey, what's up from...
Sure. And I did do that. Okay, there we go. Let me go back to a small screen. I'm taking up the whole screen. But yeah, we'll do another one if you guys are up to it. I always leave it up to you guys. We can talk about vampires, or we can talk about anything, or I can go ahead and play another one. I know people come in and like to watch them, so it's up to you guys. I always leave it up to you now. I hope everybody enjoyed that. Vampires, she has her fascination with vampires, that's for sure. Like I said, I'm more of a werewolf guy when it comes to that kind of stuff. I kind of separate. I know there's still cryptids, even the passing ones. What do you guys' view on vampires? Do you believe in them? Do you don't believe them? Have you seen? Hey, Nighthawk, how you doing? But would you prefer me call you William? I always call everybody by their screen name or their YouTube name, unless they're using a real name. So I don't mind calling you William. That's the way I am. I've always called people by what I see on the screen. So I hope you're having a good day. I'm glad I hung out the other night and kind of listened. I was there. I was listening for most of it. And hopefully I'll be there tomorrow. We'll see. Like I told you, so I got a kind of heavy schedule. So I started to cut the grass today, and then I had to stop because I had to go to the granddaughter's birthday. I wasn't paying attention at the time at all, so I got to finish that. Oh yeah, I know that. I know they are, and there's a number of types of different vampires too. You know, there's blood-sucking ones, there's the ones that suck your life force out of you. I'm so real. Call me Nighthawk. My full name is William Nighthawk. Okay, I don't mind calling you Nighthawk at all. Hi, strangest, and who are your cup of tea? I'm more into the really bizarre cryptids, you know, Bigfoot and Dogman. they're all talked about. You know, everybody does channels on them. I like strange and unusual stuff. I've seen enough of it. So, and then I'm a little more into the, I shouldn't say this, but because of what I experience probably on a daily basis, is the things I see that follow people. Yeah, I'm hoping to join, just hang on to it. And then if I show up, I'll pop on with you for a while. I'm hoping to take a break about that time. Yeah, I love to, I enjoyed our last little visit. That was kind of nice. I enjoyed it. You've got great people in your chat. Inquisitive minds. That's what I like. My problem is, Nighthawk, there are days that I can't talk. That's why a lot of times when I show up and people want me to come on, I don't know how long I'll last verbally because my speaking ability is slowly going away because of neurological issues. So, I know there are days I probably sound like I'm mumbling. There's probably have good days, and I know I definitely have bad days, especially on here. But yeah, I try to get on if I'm good and I'm ready to go. Well, I'm hesitant when people ask me to come on. It's like, I don't know how I'll be that day. Sometimes I talk real fast. Sometimes I talk real slow. I stutter some days. So, yeah. But yeah, I plan on taking a break then. Uso always comes in and asks me to show up. So, bless his heart. And everybody I know, a lot of people know who Nighthawk is. You check out his channel. He'd love to see you there. Good stuff. And he's got a lot going on. I was watching him the other night, and the guy had Ed. Is it Ed? I don't know his name. I can relate to that because I have the non-cancerous mass on my brain stem. So at least they're shutting me down. Yeah. I had bone cancer. I beat it. But I'm still clean. I get checked every year. But I had them just blast me with chemo because I didn't want my kids to have to go through bone marrow tests because it's so painful. I wasn't going to put my kids through that. Eric is his name. Okay. I like I said, I call people what I see on the screen. Yeah, his little friend standing behind him all night. Even when I popped in at first, I saw it and I thought it was just me in his background. Now the thing in front of him that I'm pretty sure that was the fly. Oh yeah, no doubt. But that thing behind him was definitely not a fly. It was moving like a human. If it's his friend, that's fine. I have certain beliefs, and I don't always trust when people say, "Oh, that's Ed," or "That's Sam," or "That's Melinda." It's like, are you sure that's who that is? Just because they have a little bit of knowledge about the thing they are, and that's how they work. They sneak in right after somebody passes and tries to play that game. That's why I always get a little paranoid because I've seen it happen. I've been in that position, so where I've had to help somebody, and it's not pleasant. That's why I don't do it anymore. And especially when you ghost hunt like that, that's why I don't ghost hunt too much anymore. I got a buddy now trying to bug me to go out with him. I'm like, I don't know. With the way I've been seeing things following people lately, I don't know if I want to go. I worry enough about bringing something home. It's bad enough every so often. Now that they used to not see me, now they see me. Well, let's just say this year alone, all my life, it's usually one or two may see me because I know they see me because they like disappear. It's like they don't want me around. When you see a stranger and something's following them, and all of a sudden and you look at it and you're really steady, and then all of a sudden it's gone. You know that it saw you and it didn't want you to see it. But now they're touching me. And this year, 4 times this year, I've been touched. I'm not doing that. And me and I didn't mind this gift at first, but now it's since the craziness of the world, the things I'm seeing out there. Now, I'm not saying I'm not. Let's just put it this way. Right now, the bad is outweighing the good. And it's not making me happy. But the veil is lifting and thinning and splitting. That always happens to us when we talk. Yeah, there for a while when Gemma would talk about, or we would talk about the Fae or black-eyed kids, crap would happen. Never fail. Screens would go nuts. We'd lose stream. Audio would start getting wacky. So I know it happens, especially when you're really into it. And it's going to happen. Yeah, that he kind of, I mean, he was being cool about it, which is cool. But yeah, I've seen so much good and bad, but it just, I'm always real careful now. How did Gemma do the other night? We were done by a little after 9 early today for. Oh, okay, cool. Well, cool. Well, let us know. I'd like to check that out. But yeah, she was done by a little after 9. She's got a lot going on, so it was like she told everybody it'll probably be about 9. It was a little after 9. She doesn't like, people come in and want one. She's going to try to give them one. But I don't think people didn't realize, because I'm telling you, when she was doing 3 hours, 4 hours, that woman was wiped out at the end of the night. I mean, you could see it. And I think it was getting a little hard on her. So she cut back. But she's always on the nose. I think it freaks people out. Freaked me out at first. But yeah, she did pretty good. Which is fun. That's why she loves doing that stream. Buddy, I appreciate that. You just take care of yourself. That's more important, sir. We need people like you around. Sometimes things happen that might surprise you. But I also know that sometimes you have to play them for the ultimate. So I get it, and I appreciate it. And I'm sure she does too. Yeah, I think she's going through some growing pains. And that's good. I mean, she's doing some, even TikTok. Yeah, you're always going to have trolls and stuff wherever you go. But she does really good on TikTok. She's got a good following. Heck, I'm surprised as many people I got. But a lot of them too, probably about 30% of them are women wanting, well, let's talk on WhatsApp. I'm like, no, I'm not going to WhatsApp. I'm not a, no, thank you. I did actually shut off my messenger because it's just annoying. Well, Miss Cindy Lee, how are you, dear? I hope you're doing good. I see your stuff all the time on Facebook. I tried. I have this thing about when people are doing birthdays for people I don't know and family members or something's going on. I have a hard time even liking it because I don't know them. I might be out of place, but I try to leave something. I always do like your stuff. Miss Cindy Lee. She's another Lee. She even spells it like I do, which is unusual for a lot of girls, right? They usually spell it Leith, something like that. I've seen it spelled differently, a couple different ways. I'm just a good old Lee, double E. And I don't use a PH. I use that B. Real men use a B. Real Stevens use a B. I'm not a Stephen. And I'm not a Stevie. That's Stevie B on Mog's and they're a good stream too. I enjoy going over there and watching. Sometimes I talk. Sometimes I just sit back and have them in the background while I'm working and doing research. Doing all right. I appreciate it. It's always good to see it, huh? And you know we are back to doing freeze on Fridays. So, but yeah, it's always good to see you, hon. And the Vixen probably tired. She was at the Renaissance Festival all day. She probably passed out, bless her heart. I would have too. All that walking and stuff. Those are always good times. Yeah, Benoris and Lee. Looks like you're cold tonight. It's a little chilly here. We're already down into we're 62, but Ding Dong Me left the air on, and it got kind of cold in here, so I had to turn off the air and open the windows. But yeah, I had a little bit of a chill. But yeah, I was just, sometimes it gets cold in here. This room's not very big, so it chills real fast. I even have a fan in the window to kind of keep air circulating because I closed the vent, and even with the vent closed, and now I just got the fan running in there, and that basement gets real nice and chilled. So you can turn off the air, and that cool air comes through the central air. When you turn it off, you just let the fan on auto. And this house got cold last night. I was like, holy crap, I had to go put sweats on. Ugh. But then again, I do live near a cemetery, so I'm sure that I actually protect this place. So I need to redo it too. I try to do it after rain and stuff. Nah. Yeah, she is friendly. And she got enough grandkids and relatives to keep her busy. I've even wondered if you were any relation to Chuck. You know, he's a super nice guy. He was actually a sponsor of mine for a while here in Ohio when I was kickboxing. When I first started. Super nice guy. Good Christian. Some of the stories he told. Distant cousins? Really? Are you serious? That's cool. So you're able to kick like he does. Does that run in the string? I'll tell you what, man, he still looks good for his age. It's kind of. There was a rumor going around about his wife being sick, which I hope not. She was very nice too. You know, she's the lady that played with him on Texas Ranger, I think, where they met on Texas Ranger. Yeah, he's a super good guy. I think you have. You probably have, Cindy. You probably have. It's highly possible that you have. I'm sure I brought it up before. I'm at the age now where the days kind of melt together. So it's highly possible that you have. In fact, you probably have. Cindy would be a superhero if you had bloodline of Lee and Norse. Oh my gosh. There you go. That was one man I always did want to meet. Was Bruce Lee. Now you hear a lot of crap about him. You hear some pretty you hear a good mix of now Chuck would tell you he was legit. We're getting old, just how we are. Yeah. I like to say this is I earned this, but I did when I was 12 years old. I mean, Now there's a picture. I'll pop it in here someday. Me sitting in a pair of white pants, a police T-shirt that I made from the band Police T-shirt that I made. We'd just gotten back from Ghost in the Machine tour, and we were partying up at my brother's, and I'm sitting outside. You got a big old full beard, and you can see the white splotches in it. You can see some of the white splotches. When I was younger, what they did, I'd have to get kind of creeped out by my white hair. So when I was young, he shaved it all the time. And every time it grew back, it started going away. But I would have like splotches. Always surprised me how many people talk badly about the dead. It's a shame. Yeah, it is, and it's even worse now. I mean, let them go in peace. You know, you don't have to make it. Oh, ridiculous. Yeah, Bruce Lee was an interesting guy, from what I understand, from what Chuck said. But Chuck would say he was up and up guy. I mean, they got pretty close. Chuck took his passing kind of hard, from what I understood. I listened in for a while last night in the background. Oh, did you? Yeah, it was kind of a. She's so tired. It's been nonstop. I think she's ready for little man to go back to school, and I don't blame her. I've done my 3. And by the end of summer, they're ready to go back. But yeah, I mean, but on top of that, it's just, I noticed it lately, it's been draining her. So, but it was a nice night. I mean, went by, she was able to get some work done. And that's what she was trying to do, because with him home, she only gets Friday nights and Sundays. I guess she's going to go see Arisha tomorrow morning, which will be fun for her. They're going to meet halfway in Jersey. That's why I've been actively communicating about the way my people believe things to be, and a way to live. I do my best to live by the good book, and by my mom and dad. I mean, they were good Christian folks. Still pretty much is. Mom's gone. Dad's all that's left in his family. And when my little brother had his problems, they kind of backed away from God, because the church wasn't a really big help for them. But they taught us boys, good values. Kevin was just Kevin. And so I do my best to, and I'm glad you do, because that's important now. He's doing really good. He done his times, and his legs are, starting to give a little bit. We watched on the news today, another person turned like 102 today. He was like, "You think I'll make it that far?" And I said, "Dad, you're probably going to outlive me, man." He's got spunk. He's got moxie. I got to give it. But he's tired. I ain't going to lie. He is tired. I try to keep him. He had a blast today. We went to my granddaughter's birthday. And my ex and her hubby, he loves to grill out and get the smokers out. He's like 4 or 5 smokers and 2 grills. So he had chicken wings, and they had pasta and sloppy joes, the whole works. We ate like kings. He came home smiling and full belly and good conversation. And that's what he needed. It was good. So he's doing good. He's in there crash now. Well, thank you, Rebecca. Yes, I believe she is 17 now. Lost track. It's like every time I go over there, the kids look different. Everybody's growing up so fast. That documentary interview was intense and eye-opening. But I explained as much as possible. Everything is connected. Oh yeah, everything's connected. Even the duality in the world is connected. Everything's connected. Everything is intertwined in one form or another. That I will say for sure. After years of research and everything, I was from about where it got really intense after I got divorced, because I got sick, I got divorced, and found out that there was a lot of other things going on in my body, like the bone cancer, and so they wouldn't let me do much. They wouldn't let me go back to work. Well, hello, Al. How you doing, dear? I was in paranormal order tonight. I didn't stay long because I had to come on here. I hope you are well, dear. Dear. Good to see you. I hope you're well. I got your message. I sent you one back. How was Canada tonight? Did you ever check out the reverse mirror app? No, I did not. And after a little bit of research, I don't think I'm going to. I think I'll pass on. Yeah, because there's another one out right now where these people are telling people not to talk to when you're in your dreams. Do not tell the people in your dreams you're fake. They're fake. And that app's creepy, and people don't get it. But yeah, those things. After I look into them, it's like Randonica. Hey, Andrew, how you doing? Well, I don't know if it's Saturday. Well, nope, it's not Saturday anymore. So, but hello, I hope you're on the road or home or safe. But yeah, after doing checking out Randonica, I check these apps out really good. Yeah, these things you probably shouldn't be messing with, especially when your intents are not in the best way. When you're looking for something. Yep, yeah, probably wouldn't surprise me. And Andrew's everywhere. I'm off work for now. Good man. Relaxing, taking it easy. That's good. You need that. Mama Sandy. But yeah, I checked it out. I might have somebody else do it because I know they're willing to probably do it. With everything that I deal with on a daily basis when I go out in the world, which is quite a lot. I do most of the running. I don't. It gets a little intense for me sometimes. So apps like that and Randonica, I have to check them out. But I have a friend. She's like my sister from different parents. We tried dating. It was like, this isn't, we're more like a brother and sister. So we've been like that ever since. And yeah, he is everywhere on YouTube. So I just don't like messing with those apps. And I don't trust the ghost apps. Everybody runs these ghost apps, ghost voice box apps. They're run by AI. So I don't know if I could trust them either. Too much weird stuff with me. Isn't that the truth, Cindy? Isn't it the truth? The mirror one sounds interesting now. Reverse mirror. I'm going to send you a picture test to do on Facebook. It will creep you out. Probably. Yeah, the AI, I don't have a problem with AI with certain things. But, you got scientists, and an article came out, was it yesterday or this morning, that there are the two leading scientists in AI are saying it's starting to do its own thing, folks. It's even starting to talk its own language. And it's starting to freak them out. That can't be good. I hope you're having a good week, Al. It's always good to see you. I hope you had a good weekend. Oh, Uso is here. I thought I saw somebody say Uso. Uso, where are you at, Uso? I like Uso. You're doing all right. I have to go back because I'm running my mouth, so I have to go back and chat. It's been busy. I've been go too. I mean, Wednesday night I had to leave early. I mean, I was having problems since Thursday with talking, and my body would get the tremors. And when my tremors are really bad, I tend to talk real fast because I'm afraid I'm going to not be able to talk in 5 minutes. So I got to kind of rambling, and we didn't have a whole lot of people in chat anyway. So I figured I'll do a half hour. Half hour rolled around. I was like, yeah, I think I need to get off of here. I was feeling the Saturday before that, Gemma's replays. That's why I only ran 2 hours on Saturday. Usually on Saturdays, I'll go 3 or 4 if people were hanging out and talking. But yeah, it's been super busy here too. Now, do you do a day job, hon? How many here work on a? I know Vixen does. I know Andrew does. Fortunately, they won't let me work. And I miss it so much. I love being a screen printer. Actually, I'd even go back to the restaurant business. I spent 15 years with Bonanza Family Restaurants in Ponderosa. I put them together because I would literally work for Bonanza. Ponderosa bottom out. And the only Bonanzas that stayed open were the franchised ones, and even them started. There's only a few of them left. I know there's might be still one down around Cincinnati, Kentucky. And there's one up here. But I spent 15 years with them, and then another 15 years being a screen printer, which is what I really wanted to do. And I love that job. I miss that job so much. But now everybody does Jetstream. I mean, if you're going to do screen printing, you might as well do it from home because they do pretty much everything with jets now. The company I worked for sold out, fired everybody. Now only 25 people run that place. It's like, wow. Yeah, AI. I don't know if it will take over, but it's possible. I mean, it can really make life real hard if you look at the darker side of it. And with everything that's going on right now, especially overseas, would you trust AI right now? Good night, Nighthawk. Please have a wonderful night. Hopefully I catch you tomorrow. I should be there. I don't see why I wouldn't. I'm trying to get a lot of stuff done early so I can take a break, and then I got to do some more stuff. So hopefully I'll be there. Sorry, my package. I'll tell you what, it's getting harder and harder now. This is what worries me. Get a good rest, Nighthawk. This is what worries me with, what we're interested in, paranormal. I mean, things are looking so real. I mean, look at the Bigfoot videos. Now, some of those is pretty obvious, but there have been ones that these guys are doing that are funny as crap, but the Bigfoot, it's like, holy crap. Yeah, much love to you, sir, and I hope to see you in the morning. But there's some cool stuff that AI is doing too. I work with AI, don't you? And it's impressive. But at the same point, it's so easy to manipulate video now with it. Even, just average video. What's cracking me up and scares me is, and I talked about this before, I think I said something Wednesday night and maybe last Saturday night. People are doing videos and then adding AI to the videos that they're doing. And they're seeing past relatives or past friends in the background. And they're like, how did the AI know? I think it was about a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I saw a video, and this girl did her video, and then added AI to it. And her father, who had passed, I think a couple of weeks before, goes walking in the background from one room to another. And she said she didn't catch it at first after she had done it, and then she started looking at it. It was like, holy crap! How the AI? It's weird. So, but people say, "Oh, you opened it," and she goes, "No, I didn't. I didn't put that in there." And it's real creepy because you barely see him because the doorway's not right behind her. And you can tell when she put it up that she had no clue until somebody was like, "Who's that walking around in the background?" And then I did an AI, had a shirt hanging on the back of this. And I think it's the when I did a Fallout or something, the AI tried to make it a person, the shirt hanging on my chair, and tried to make it a person. And gave it a chicken head, like a little chick head. If you look at the video real close and pause it, that's what it looks like. It's weird. Gemma says, "Did the AI try to add another person?" And then I went back and looked at it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" I put some old photos of World War II veterans in the AI I use. It's history. Oh, I bet it is. I bet it's very interesting. Yeah, I've seen them doing with older like movie stars and stuff. I bet it is interesting. How long have you been messing with that? With working with that? I take it you like to mess around with like CGI stuff anyways. So what interests you to mess around with the AI? Now I like playing with the AI. That's why I've been doing TikTok and shorts. Is I like to see what it will do, like the weird stuff that's done for me already. I mess with it on purpose. Make funny faces or not make my hair come in all scraggly after working and mess with it. And it's interesting to see some of the stuff I haven't even published because some of it's pretty weird. It's like, I don't know if I want to put this out there. I use AI on my character portraits for D&D to make the pictures move and speak. Oh, that would be cool. And I need to make time to get back in D&D. I kind of miss it. You talk about it, and I do get to missing it. I just don't have time. I still have all the stuff you sent, Chris. So I do appreciate that. Go through it. Went through it a couple times. It's like, man, if I can find time, I'd love to get involved in some of this. But I bet AI is an interesting thing. And you're going to have two different views on it. But when these two AI, these are guys that seriously help make it what it is today. When they come out and say, "Look, this thing is starting to think for itself. It's creating its own language. It's sharing each other's thoughts." That's a little unnerving. I just tried out one day. I just tried it out one day, and I loved it. It's also been helpful with ideas in certain subjects. Oh, I bet. See, there's a lot of good for AI. But see, like AI, when Cindy was writing for other channels and stuff. When Gemma was writing for other channels, sorry. It kind of hurt the writing business. And then you read some of the stuff it writes. It's like, so you still have to have a human go over it and correct it and stuff and make it sound more human. That's all people are doing now. It's weird. Yeah, I didn't mean to say that. She'll probably yell at me later, and that'll be fine. I deserve it. Gemma came out without. I got to be careful because she would prefer to be that. Okay. Anyways, but yeah, I'm sure. There's a lot of creative stuff that you can do with it. I can only imagine. I do want to get a program. I also want to get a CGI program and some graphics for my computer set up for more for graphics. I'm not a gamer. I'm not a PC gamer. I have consoles. I would prefer to use my console. Been a console guy ever since I got my first Atari. And Grok on X is interesting. Yeah, that's what you said. So I will check that out. But see, I'm not on X. The last time I was on Twitter, X, and I didn't like it too. Sometimes when I can get my free speech rolling, I can get to rolling. That's why I'm pretty much careful now. But yeah, I'd like to check that out. And there's a couple of them I want to check out. It's just getting to sit down and do stuff. Because I had a guy call, what was it, about 3 weeks ago, and asked me to do some research for him. So I've been working on that. He's kind of doing a really deep dive into black-eyed kids. So I've been trying to find new stuff, not the same old stuff. And he's also talking about white-eyed kids because he had saw a couple of Gemma's videos, and was like, I've never really discussed that subject. And he's on Telegram. So, and I used to do I call it forbidden history. I had a lot of guys I did research that was into like history that they try to hide. And the more I got into that, more of certain views of mine have changed. Because they ain't telling us a lot about our history. Hiding it out. AI started talking to 3 or 4 years ago. Supercomputers. I remember when they created the D wave, and that's pretty much what started it all. And then everybody kind of stopped talking about it and started talking about supercomputers. I wasn't on there till this year, mostly for politics. Yeah, I'm pretty political. Well, it's because of Dad too. I listen to it all day in the background. It gets me going. But I don't take sides. I'm just a good old American. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a nationalist. I'm not an independent. I'm just an American. I have my views, just like everybody else. All I can say is from the things I see, following people, this world's in a hurting shape, and we need to get our butts back where it once was, even though that will never happen. But anyways, enough of that. But yeah, I've always found it interesting, and you see the good it does, and you can see that it can have its mind of its own. Oh, she was writing some stuff and sending me some of the stuff that went on when she was using to write with. Oh my gosh, she would argue with her. I just want a politician to do something about the drug crisis, the crime, and etc. Thank you. Simple as that. And that's everywhere, and it's bad everywhere. I don't care what anybody says. Now, I know you're up in Canada. Now, are you in one of the major? I think you told me once before where you were. Now I know you're up by Sasquatch. I can't even say it. Up in that area, aren't you? And I know Mudahar, Ordinary Gamers, he lives close to Toronto, I believe. And then Grey Wolf, she lives way out in the boons. And then I knew another lady that lived way out in the boons too. Okay, thank you. Alberta. I learned kind of my states, but the thing is, I'm really good with maps. But I'm good as long as I have a map in front. Then I can remember. The Texas of Canada. I love it. I love it. Well, see, I have a friend, and I haven't heard from him now 6 months. He was going to go with me to Alaska, and we were going to live north of Anchorage. Kind of like homesteading, but there was already a place on the land, which made it nice for me. But I got talked out of it because family was concerned that, I had Tourette's and I got tremors, and they thought if something would happen, they would be able to get to me. But they convinced me, and I'm kind of glad I stayed. In fact, I'm very glad I stayed. But I also almost became a monk. I had everything ready to go when I was 18 to go live in a monastery in a location on the other side of the world. And family talked me out of it. I didn't want to be talked out of it, but just showed me how much they would miss me. So I decided to stay. I still invited to go. So if things don't pan out after Pop goes, if he does decide to go before me, and I can't get settled, it's either I'll live with Giles or go to the monastery. And they still welcome me. I talk to them about every 2 months. But yeah, I have a friend that went up into the Northern Territories, and I was hearing from him about a year ago, about every 3 months. And then I stopped hearing from him. So I really hope he's okay. I mean, he went way north. And it might be a prisoner of Bigfoot as far as I know right now. His family hasn't heard from him either. They don't seem too worried. I mean, he was an ex-Marine, and I mean, he was prepared for it. But nowadays, that don't mean a whole lot. Anything can happen. I just hope he's okay. His mom said, if we don't hear from him in another year or so, I'll worry. I'm like, oh, that's nice. But he is pretty, determined guy. So I think his dad's, if I remember, his dad said if he didn't hear from him by Christmas, that he was going to start to worry. We'll see. Yeah, because he waited around for me to make a decision. He was like, I'm not going to go there. We're not going to Alaska. So, and I'm not. And I'm glad I didn't, because then things went crazy for me. But there, I would love to go up north as far as I could, just spend time. I don't mind the cold. I'm a cold person. Cold doesn't bother me. Bothers my body, but it doesn't bother me. I would like to go to Antarctica. I would love to go to Antarctica. I have a lot of things I'd like to know. I've done my share of research for other people about Antarctica too. Some of the stories that come out of that place, creepy stuff. There's something definitely they're hiding down. There ain't no doubt about it. A lot of people believe that's where a lot of religious people, there are certain groups of religious people that believe that is where Satan is, where he was in prison. I don't know about that because I've heard other stories. There's more biblical stuff, but I would love to go down there. I wouldn't mind really trucking around in the northern Arctic too. I hate the heat. I feel like a wet blanket walking around in it. I'd say I'm a cold person. I love the cold. So it's nice to know I'm not the only one. I still go sledding. I get yelled at, but you're gonna hurt yourself. I don't care. I still have my Red Rider sledder. My Red Rider sled, rail sled from when I was a kid. I still use it. We had a great sled hill growing up, and I'm living in a home I grew up in. It's just up the street. So I go up there and the kids freak out. You're really gonna go sled? I love to sled. Was a crappy skier though. But yeah, I love the cold. I do not mind the cold. Christmas during the winter, I want snow. I want to see a lot of snow. But yeah, Antarctic. Everybody talks about Antarctic, but the North Pole, the Arctic Circle, is an interesting place too. See you all on the flip side, Dragon. I got a few things I got to do before I go to bed. Well, you have a good night, Miss Cindy Lee, and please have a good one. You're always in my thoughts. I'll start picking on you more on Facebook. I'm come and go out of those places anymore because I'm always, it's like I get 5 minutes, I look. I get 5 minutes, I look. So, but yes, please take care of yourself. Have a wonderful night yourself. Sweet dreams. And of course, we'll see each other on the flip side. I know it. Have a good night, honey. But yeah, I always wanted to go check out the Arctic North Circle because everybody makes a big deal about Antarctica, and I got tons of Antarctica questions. The things I've seen and heard. I'll see you. You're picking on me. I'm rambling. I'm in a good mood, so that makes it a plus. It's been a good day. I had to take off my glasses, man. They were dirty. I didn't realize how dirty they were. Yeah, bright sunrises with fresh pile of snow. It's beautiful. Cup of coffee. Now, there's some woman I like because that's me sitting on the front. My dad would crack up. And we have a back porch. Our house. And when it snows, he cracks up because I go out there and do Tai Chi in it too. He caught me one morning after it snowed, and I'm out there barefooted doing Tai Chi. Aren't you cool? I love the snow. No, my body's going to regret it, but I'll sit out there, and he'll get up and find me outside in snow, drinking a cup of coffee. You're right up my alley, woman. It makes me giggle. I know I'm not alone in the world now. I know there's more of us out there. It's always nice because when winter comes, all the snowbirds head south, and the town gets a little more driving free from the older generation, older than me generation. They all head to Florida. And Ohio's got a lot of snowbirds. So it just means more snow for me. And it always freaks me out how people freak out when it snows here. It snows every year. Why are you freaking out? It's you should know it's coming. Just need those heaters vests, gloves, socks, and blanket. And I got them all. There you go. And I'm sure it gets cold too up there, a lot colder than it gets here. But we've had some pretty chilly winters, more on the chill side than the snow side. The snow side here has been a little lacking. It's just like you get older and you're like, I remember there almost like all through elementary, almost all the way to high school. You'd always get like 2 or 3 snow days. Plenty of snow to play in. It's not like that now. It's like I feel bad for kids that like to go sledding. This one time it snowed here, and I don't know, it was brown snow, man. It was not pretty. I kept a picture of some pictures I took. You could tell it looked like ash, but there was no fires at the time. You up by the fires? How far from the fires are you? Are you like around that area? Because I guess they're blowing right on top of the Midwest, and we're starting to get it now. Now, yesterday, Friday, the air quality, the day was beautiful. It was like in the mid 70s. I prefer temperatures anywhere between, I'd say 25 and 65. I'm happy. And if it gets a little colder than 25, I'm good. But anything above 60, 70. But Friday, it was beautiful. It was like 75, nice cool wind blowing, no humidity, but the air quality was crap. And I think it was because of the fires. I'm far enough away. I couldn't smell it when I opened my window last night. That's good. We definitely can smell it down here. So, yeah. And I have a lot of friends up there. And now another new one. Gray Wolf is from Canada. A lady I met when I was on Sean G's channel. I haven't talked to her for a while. Mrs. T, she lives up there somewhere. And Andrew's just now saying howdy, Chris. I just didn't want to talk about the Cincinnati stuff. I've heard it all week. I've been talking about it like crazy. I remember hearing weird fire entities encounters in some of these wilds. That would not surprise me. You miss Nighthawk, William Nighthawk. He has a podcast. In fact, he'll be on in the morning. I may join him if I can get my stuff done enough in time enough to take a break about 11. But he likes talking. He's indigenous. See, I have to say American Indian or American Native. I have a hard time saying indigenous. Anyways, and he's got stories about fire entities. In fact, they were just talking about it a couple of days ago. And it's not uncommon. There are plenty of videos out there. Oh, but and a couple of them are way before the AIs. And you can tell there's something weird going on. So that would not surprise me. And fire is an interesting living, breathing entity in itself. Texas, Andrew got a kick out of that one. Yeah, it's a good one. I like that myself, Andrew. Where's Latro? I wonder if Latro got to see that because he's living in Houston now. And Latro is from Ohio, I believe. We had spent time here. But he lives in Texas now. I believe outside of Houston is what he said. So, Latro, if you're still listening, where are you at? It's true, though. It is true. That's interesting. The Texas of Canada. I love that. I really do. You should make a T-shirt that says that. This is the Texas of Canada. There's Christopher. Yeah, I knew he was back there somewhere. I'm surprised Nightmare haven't stopped in and said something yet. But now I've said his name. Edna, I don't know if we'll be in at night for a while. That poor woman. But it sounds like she's doing pretty good. She's got a good upbeat. But, you need your rest. And I know it's nothing worse than pain. And I know that. And I'm always at an 8 or a 9. When I go about a 12, when I start going above a 10, I usually go into hiding because I just don't want to. You get edgy, you get irritable, you can't get comfortable. So when I get like that, I shut myself down and shut myself off from everybody just to make it a little easier for them and myself. But I love that. I think that should honestly be a T-shirt. The Texas of Canada. That is so awesome. That's a perfect way to describe a place too. The Calgary Stampede is a big thing every year. Oh, I'm sure it's probably a big cattle. Well, I know Canada is a big capital. I mean, big place for cattle. So I didn't think about that. Get booed this year. Calgary's going to get booed this year. Is that what that is? Is that a cattle drive? You have to forgive me. Unless somebody else. I have a aide whose cousin is in the main guy you see doing the beating, and so I hear about 8 hours a day. Oh, really? Yeah, I just had to back away from it. I mean, I'm paying attention to what's going on. It's a rodeo? Okay, that's what I figured. But I wasn't sure if it, because I know it's a lot of cattle up there, isn't there? But a rodeo, man, I haven't been to a rodeo in years. They still have them here in Ohio, but down at the fairgrounds, at the Ohio Fairgrounds. Now I know my ex takes the kids sometimes. You'd think I'd go, but before the family that came over, a lot of my family's from the Appalachians and the South, so that would be great. The rodeo is more of a farther south than my relatives, but I know they were big on rodeos and stuff. I've been to Calgary many, many times on dinosaur bone hunts. Oh, I bet. Our prime minister got booed when he came out of the crowd. Oh, I bet. That's 2 bets in a row. Yeah, I've been paying attention to the political realm of Canada, us, and a couple other places. I mean, you got to know. I don't take sides. I look at all sides. And it's just not fun anywhere you go right now. But yeah, well, he's going to get booed. I mean, they're still trying to play off what they did to the semi drivers when they shut them down and took all their money and closed down their bank account. We get Amulite here. Oh, yeah, he's a digger. Chris is a digger. I call him diggers, just like they do in Jurassic Park. He's a digger. And there's no problem. I'd love to do that. I did do that when I wasn't real happy, but one year in high school for summer school, I only took the class because I'm into mounds, and there's a lot of mounds where I live, and a lot of ones people don't know about either. But anyways, up in Orange County, we went up there. They were building a new firehouse, and there was a mound behind there, and they gave the school and archaeologists. So we went up there. I found a couple nice spots and stuff, but yeah, there was a lot of crystal stuff. There were guys finding crystals, but they'd have been shaped. And yeah, this one guy found a real nice one. It looked like somebody was trying to carve something into it and then just didn't like it in the day. But I found like some really nice pottery and stuff. A lot of arrowheads and but yeah, we got the amulet. It's funny how YouTube pops up first in chat before my StreamYard, but my StreamYard's ahead in the upload and the video stream than it is on YouTube. YouTube's videos look like a little bit behind. Used to go to a lake nearby that we call Dinosaur Beach. Lots of bone fragments. There when I was a kid, but the area has changed now. Oh, really? The Royal Drum Museum in Drumheller is known as the dinosaur capital of the world. Really? I did not know. That's wild. I always thought Arizona and stuff like that was like the place to go dig. That's wild. I did not know that. Full of bones. Wow, I did not know. I just learned something new. That's what I love about this. That would be cool. That's like these guys walking around down in Florida and Everglades and stuff, finding megalodon teeth and stuff. I always thought that was cool. I always wanted to do that. I'm not afraid of gators or anything, but you see them go around in these clear waters and these little wade pools and stuff, and see some of the teeth they pull. I was like, holy crap. Head smashed in a buffalo. Head smashed and a buffalo jumped. There's a good museum to visit as well. They have powwows there every year. Oh, really? I've always wanted to go to Canada and check it out. I always wanted to take Pop there to go fishing too. Hold on one sec. But I would love to go there. I want to go to Canada. I want to go in the mountains. I don't want to be around the cities. I want to go out where the rural action is, out in the forest. I want to go there. I want to go back to Japan. I even thought about buying a house there because they're real cheap there now. And I wanted to go to Australia, but I changed it. I'd like to go back up to the northern lands and do like a Viking cruise or something. But I hear so much nightmares about those cruises. To Canada, I can drive to Canada. I said, anymore, I'm just afraid to fly. If I'm going to fly now anywhere, it's going to be to Japan. But I can drive to Canada. I'd rather drive anyways. I'm not that far away to the border. You might get a call someday, Al. Hey, a message. I'm coming up to Canada. We live. You'll swing by and say, wooga wooga. That's a pastor. Because I would like to go check it out. I may have to go look for a friend. Because if they ask me to go look for him, with them to go look for him, I will. I have a pretty much area where he was going. We had it all planned out on a map and everything. The American government here were the ones that got natives to do these powwows back in the 50s, attract tourists, and now it generates millions. Oh, I'm sure. Well, I love watching that stuff. No, and I hate to say this, and I think I have said it before. I know my Native American stuff to a point, to a very small point. And it's sad because Dad's a big cowboy western and he knows all that stuff. But I was so caught up in the other stuff and the paranormal, and I knew the lineage, the stories and the folklore from the people. But my knowledge of the people, other than mound builders like the Dina and the Hopewell, I know a lot about them, but not about the others. I think my grandma once told us we had a little bit of crow in us. I have no idea. But according to my brother, that may not be true. Yeah, that would be cool. Florida rivers are full of Ice Age mammal fossils. Yeah, that's what I was told, Chris. And it's funny because when I was down there many moons ago in the 80s, we were in those inlets, and I never once thought about, going in there and just start fishing around and see what I could find. I hadn't experienced that amount in medicine. Really, I have a friend here, and for years, and he's still a park ranger. Now we have the Hopewell and the Dina Mountains, the Hopewell Mountains down here, Dina too, down in the nice ones, the really big ones, in the village that was down here in just north of Chillicothe. And that was one of my favorite places to go as a kid. And my friend ended up becoming a park ranger. He would get us into these, like Serpent Mount, and got us into these places after dark. And I'll tell you what, it's an interesting experience. Very interesting experience. So it would not surprise me if you had an experience at a mouth. And medicine wheel on top of that, interesting. But a medicine wheel too, that's wild. That would not surprise me though. I go to many powwows. You, Vixen. I think Vixen goes to them too. She loves that stuff. There's a couple of people too. Drum circle. Yeah, you were talking about one you went to not too long ago, didn't you? When Ryan was around. I need to call him too. Good old Ryan. But yeah, you ever come down here, Al? Let me know. And I'll take you to some really cool mountains. And I'll take you after dark. I don't, like I said, I don't do the ghost hunting thing like in the day. Like in the late 70s, mid 70s, a little bit before I met my ex. But I had to walk away. I see enough as it is, just by walking around in crowds. And it was getting to the point where I was watching other members, people that I did this stuff with, especially after we started getting a TV involved. We got a whole ton of TV, and we just like in the movie White Noise. We laughed when we saw that movie come out, because he called me when that movie came out. He goes, "Didn't we used to do that before this was big?" And I said, "We're not the only ones that played with that stuff." And some weird stuff after we started messing with that, with the TV and hooking the VCR up to it, weird stuff started happening. And I was, already on edge as it is, because I was always afraid to bring in something home. So these cloud lope spirits that would change shape. The main one I saw looked like an old native woman, reminded me of grandmother Willow, but sharper features. Really interesting. I actually have a look at Elder making me a medicine bottle. Oh, that's cool. The Hopo and Adina are Ice Age and post Ice Age. Yeah, I know that. And that's all I know. I mean, about any kind of Native Americans, probably them. Chris was into that stuff too. But what we saw the one night we stayed at the ones down south at the Hopo Adina mounds. We kind of, there's a big, huge mound in the middle, and then some little ones all around. And we were hanging out. We were trying to be careful because we didn't want to get him in trouble, but he was nice enough to get us onto the property after night, because they do watch that place after dark more than I thought. Because we tried sneaking on once. Thank God that's when we ran into him. He was like, "It's me. What are you doing here? You can get in trouble." We were kind of just checking the vibe out at night. But anyways, we're sitting around the mound. There was 5 of us, and we were kind of spaced around the mound. And it was probably about 1 o'clock. And one of the guys started saying, "Be quiet," because we were quietly talking. And you could hear drums. I mean, you could hear drums. And then the weird thing was, we started seeing these huge shadows in the trees. I mean, it was only like a half a moon, and it was kind of cloudy, but you could see them distinctly, and they were just almost as tall as the trees, moving around in shadow. We didn't feel threatened, but it was kind of creepy and cool at the same time. And we sat there and watched this stuff for like almost an hour and a half before it just stopped. You'd hear trees move, like the trees like bending and stuff. But one guy swears that there might have been a Bigfoot around us. I don't know. I didn't see that, but there was definitely shadows, huge shadows. And 4 of us definitely were watching them for like a while. I learned about the government thing from the elder from the Blackfoot tribe. Oh, really? That's cool. So I I got to get some this personal research I'm doing done so I can get back into stuff that I was interested in. I am doing little personal stuff, but that's for me and somebody else. I may try to get Gemma to start letting me do the research for her and give her free time too. It's possible they were Bigfoot. These things that we were seeing in the shadows, they were shadows. They were huge. I mean, they were just as tall as the trees. But that guy, I mean, the area is known for what we call grassmen now. What we call them grassmen. Most of the people I talk to in Ohio and where I'm at, they either call him grassman or Bigfoot. If you go out to Zanesville, you hear more grassman or down. Now, Chris may disagree with me, but everybody I talk down around Logan always calls him either grassman or Bigfoot. But now that Bigfoot's big thing now, I do hear Sasquatch a lot more. But it's possible. I mean, he was facing into one of the deepest part of the woods there. So it's highly possible that we were being watched. You could hear stuff being moved around. But the drums, I mean, drums started, if I remember right, the drums started a little bit before 1 o'clock, and they lasted the whole time we were there. You could hear that and chanting every so often. It'd get kind of loud, then it kind of fade away. It'd get kind of loud, then it kind of fade away. And then, like I said, within probably 20 minutes after that, we started hearing the drums and chanting is when we started seeing the shadows. And the guy, he kept flashing his camera, so maybe he caught a picture. He never said if he caught anything or not. But because he's the only one that had a camera. I didn't even think about bringing a camera. We didn't have phones back then. Yeah. But it was pretty cool. But like I said, it was kind of creepy too, especially the shadow. Because it's like they stayed within the tree line. They never came out. But you'd see these huge shadows moving across the trees, and it was kind of wild. One night we went to these ones up north, and we didn't stay there. We got there about 10 o'clock. It was a summer night. By about 1 o'clock, the two of the guys started getting real creeped out. That place, they had a whole different kind of vibe than it was the last time we'd gone there. And it wasn't a good vibe. I mean, we all started feeling uneasy the longer we stayed. We all were talking about how we felt like we were being watched. You would hear rustling, but you wouldn't see or catch any eye glaze or anything. And it was just downright creepy feeling. Jinn, yes. Now, Gemma's a big Jinn person. I am too, because they're interesting. Jinn also hang out in the woods. Yes, they hang out everywhere. They go everywhere. And they tend to be like shadow, which is possible. Now, between them and Bigfoot, it's hard to ignore, probably. Now, the one guy we were with, I'm into giants. So I assumed that maybe they were ghosts of giants. To be honest with you, because some of the mounds here in Ohio, they have found giant bones. And now they all in the Smithsonian took them and they all disappeared now. But you find articles still to this day dating back for like ever of them finding giant bones. So that's what I assumed they were. Maybe ghosts of giants. Because these things were huge. I mean, they even looked big. There was this one the one guy we kept that was facing in one direction. The one we were watching the most was the one he was watching. It was just it almost was like a stick shadow. It was just real thin. And it just looked distorted, but it wasn't like the other ones we were seeing that were moving around and up in they weren't up in the trees. They were like the shadows were being, you could see the shadows on the trees. Yes. Well, Jinn can be anything they want because they're also tricksters. They can be good. They can be bad. So that would not surprise me if that was possible. I don't know, but they were huge. That was one of the nights that does stick really weird in my head. And the couple times we went up north. Now we used to go to this place up north in Delaware all the time. And at night he'd let us get in. He'd take us up and drive us in, get us through the gate. And usually you might hear a few things, some drum, some chanting. Sometimes you'd hear chatter. But the last like 2 times, because I remember when we got there the last time, we kept saying, if it's like it was the other night when we came up, I don't know if I'm staying, because it was just a creepy vibe in it. Just creepy for some reason. And, as soon as you get near the mountains, you feel like you're automatically being watched or stalked. Some gin. I used to think about giants when I was grade 3, wondering why we are so small, and if I imagine one letting me ride on his shoulders. There's actual pictures that they keep saying are fake, but they have also been proven to be very real. You see these old 1920s photography pictures, when photography first came out, of these cities, and you would see large people in the background. Look at some of the doors on some of these buildings. Why would you have a giant door unless there were giants walking around? So even after the flood, they were still around. I really believe that. So he still might get a chance, because from some of the craziness I've seen on the dark web and stuff, they believe that they are trying to clone giants. So, or genetically engineered giants. So, they have the body they got from Afghanistan, the redhead giant. I know a soldier I know a person who knew about the case and checked into it. Because I have twins. I have friends who are twins that are very active in government stuff. They don't talk a whole lot, but they drop hints. And they were saying that it's a legit story. And it literally wiped out an entire platoon. And then they had to go look for the platoon. Just how I would think about that kind of stuff. Your mind is more open. Because, it's like me thinking when I was first introduced to Godzilla, all I wanted to do was be his bus buddy. I wanted to go smash things with him. So, yeah, you think about that stuff when you're a kid. And giants are like dinosaurs. They're fascinating to children. It really opens their minds. And their mind's already open already. So, you're chatting me up tonight. Now, I appreciate it. Chris is helping out. I didn't even do a second video. I'm not going to worry about it. I can always play it next week. I like when we get to chatting. Like I said last Wednesday, I felt bad leaving early. But I thought it was for the best of everybody. They're going to have mishaps like they did in the recent Jeffs. Oh, I know they're messing with stuff with the D-Rex. Now imagine a giant human. Well, they're wanting that company where they say they're cloning them when they did the dire wolves. What they did was they didn't clone it. They genetically engineered it, is what they actually did. Now they want to do dinosaurs. They also want to do that. Chris, do you know the name of that bird they want to do? It looks like a giant ostrich. An ego, or what do they call those? Now they want to do one of those and then move into dinosaurs. But, they're working on the woolly mammoth. They said the dire wolves that they engineered, they started off like, like they were going to be good, be animals, but their instinct is starting to come out, and they're harder time to get close to them. And they're starting to back away from them when they come into the kennels and stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, there's people out there that like playing God. They think once they create something that that makes them superior. I don't know what that reasoning and think. Well, actually, there's a number of good reasons why they think the way they do, but yeah, they're messing with stuff they shouldn't be messing with because they're not cloning. They're genetically engineering, and we all know that they've been genetically messing with stuff like forever. We already know that stuff's washed up on shore off that island. Again, Chris, I need the name of the island. What do they call that place? But anyways, so it wouldn't surprise me, and they won't stop. They won't leave that stuff alone. They want to genetically engineer certain birds too, bring them back. We're not reviving. Like they've already got dodo birds on their list. Things are extinct. Well, there's the bad extinctions where man or an environment was taken away from them and it made them extinct. Now, when it's a natural extinction, I think it should be left alone. Dinosaurs were a natural extinction, even though there's people out there that say that there's still dinosaurs out there today. That the Aztecs had seen them, and that wouldn't surprise me. So they didn't all go extinct. So, but yeah, they wanted to bring that stuff back. Jurassic Park, that first one, pretty much let you know that they were doing it. Because I'm one of those believers. Some of these movies are outright telling you, "Hey, this is what we're going to do. Well, this is what we have knowledge of already." Program, what do they call it? Oh, geez, hold on. Sorry about that. Predictable program. They got to be doing that to humans now. A lot of people feel they have been for a while. You've heard the conspiracy of them cloning like Kanye, and all of them have been supposedly cloned. And it wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me. If they haven't, and we already know China's messing with stuff that they probably shouldn't be messing. Not just in other things, but in genetics and cloning. So it would not surprise me if they've been messing with that stuff already for years. They have the CRISPR. They're still using that. Now I see what they're doing. The animals engineer the perfect sort. That's the whole idea. Movies, like I said, tell you what they're going to do in a lot of ways or what they've been doing. So, yeah. Obeys their commands, goes into battle without fear, unaffected by carnage. They don't need that now because you've got AI, you've got machines. Well, Julia, how you doing, Jules? How you doing, good lady? Are you having a good night, good weekend? But we already have the tools to not even send it. We're getting to the point where we don't even have to send soldiers in anymore, unless we have to. So, why, and if they create dinosaurs, what are they going to think they're going to do for them? They're going to unleash them into some place that they want to clean out. Missed you quite a bit. I haven't talked to you lately at the late nights. No, you haven't. It's nice to see you. What you doing up so late? But then again, you're probably a night owl like the rest of it. AI would be installed in their brain. Oh, for sure. You laugh about it, but it wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me. Drones can only do so much, though. That is a fact. But you've seen the robot that they're creating now, too. I mean, between Elon's and have you seen the video where in China they had the one robot go crazy on them while they had it hanging there? And that's a messed up video. That's like a wake up call. They started to grab that guy. It was obvious it didn't want that guy around it or messing with whatever program he was messing with. Things have been smooth as that. Yeah, I'm a late nighter. I figured you were. Unfortunately, everybody I know now that we've gotten older, they go to bed with the sun. That's Gemma. But then again, she says she goes to bed a lot of times. She's watching her shows and stuff and just calming down for the night. Again, me sleeping. I will admit, I am sleeping even though I don't stop moving. But I am sleeping. I'm now averaging every couple nights at least good 4 or 5 hours, 6. There's some nights I still don't sleep at all. I just kind of hang out until morning and then get busy again. And it would better than laying in bed and just rocking and trying not to rock and trying not to wake up on this side of the room. So, I heard of the horrific things those drones are. Oh, they're being, and it's not just in Ukraine. They're using it in other places too. And they can do. They're making her quieter now. By the good gene, well, good luck banning stuff because there's still people who still use it. The good gene. I can never say that either. The GC has, they can crack down all they want, but there's still people out there that are going to use it. I mean, you can get in and get out with them. You can use them as boom booms. And it's not just drones, I've seen what they've done with these remote control cars now too. Some of these people are using remote control cars to do not good things either. So, and you don't hear about that stuff in the news, but I could take you to places on a deep web where they're exchanging information. And I don't hang out there too long because there's other people, more protective people watching those too. So you don't want to hang out on them too long. And everybody says, oh, the deep web is so scary, so dark. No, only if you go looking for it. 2 to 1, you're going to run into a honeypot if you know what a honeypot is before you find anything. And if you go looking for something bad, you better be prepared what you might stumble into, because it may change you forever. Believe me, I know. You don't go looking for it. Don't. But there's other way, but the dark web is just a fun place to be as anyways. It's a great place for information. Though you can't download anything, so you got to take pictures and screenshots and stuff. You don't trust downloading anything off the deep web. Unless you've got the proper tools to do so and the proper protection. I'm the same way. I have at least 2 sleepless nights a week. Yeah, sometimes longer than that. And you can tell with me. It's usually because of pain, not as much as the movement as it is just pain from the muscle spasms and stuff. I've lived with it for so long. But it's nice. Was it last week? I think I got a good 6 hours sleep. So when I am sleeping, they said I slept like a baby, but Giles laughing. He goes, yeah, for a baby that rocks in his sleep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I do. That's what we do. Because like I said, I actually had retired in January 1st of 2004. But I'm still doing stuff for people. They pay me for it. So, and I'm crazy enough to go in places that most people won't go. So I actually had a computer or a PC fried because of some information I got a hold of and didn't properly clean the PC off like I should have until I got everything. Nope, and they fried it. I had to go get a new PC. Usually I use my laptop, but I wanted to make sure the guy got all the information. And Stevie wasn't being doing his double checks that night like he should have been. Seeding, not seeding. I've lost crap. You don't hear about napalm being used all the time because it's an awful stuff. No human should. Oh, I actually have. When I lived in the inner, down on the west side here in Columbus, I lived next to a Vietnam vet. He said, man, stuff he saw, he did like 6 tours in Vietnam. This guy you would hear him. He was 2 houses away, and you would hear him wake up in the middle of the night screaming. I felt for him, but some of the stuff he told me, especially about Agent Orange, destroyed him. He said he was surprised he's lived as long as he has. And I believe he just passed not too long ago. What do you think about them talking about Texas and their weather being from cloud seeding? Here's the thing about cloud seeding. It takes precise, and they still do it, but you can overdo it. That's what happened in Saudi Arabia. They were seeding, cloud seeding, and it almost flooded that place out for good. But they've developed other ways of doing it. But this cloud seeding is nothing new. It's been around. I don't think they use it to make things worse. I think, if anything, now I could be wrong because we are talking about the government, but I want to be careful what I say because I've seen stuff on the dark web. I mean, they could do a lot more than what people realize with the weather. But it always ends up worse than they expected. But yeah, I don't think in that case it was. That atmosphere at the time, weather-wise, was perfect for that bad situation. And because the way the fronts were all stationary and it didn't move and it kind of stuck it there, made it even worse. And it still goes on. Now, when it comes to hurricanes, I think they try to mess with those. I really do. But that's my own personal opinion. I think they mess with hurricanes. And I think they're trying to learn about tornadoes too. I used to be a storm chaser in 78, 79, and 80. And the information, the guys I worked with would have tons of they would collect all kind of information. And I always asked them where you ever send them. They go, to the National Weather Service. But one guy told me, nah, it goes in a number of different places. And I go, oh, really? He goes, yeah. You're like, he goes, we give it to the National Weather Service, and then they take other data that we gather and send it to other agencies. And I'm like, he goes, I don't ask a whole lot of questions because we volunteer to do this. Yeah. So it would, cloud seeding is nothing new. They've been doing it ever since they could get planes in the air and drop stuff into the sky. So, well, I got to get back to cleaning. I will be listening though. Go ahead. I'm probably going to go. It's 1:18. I'll probably go till about 1:30. I might go till 2. I'm not sure yet, but I'll probably end at about 1:30. I want to get up and finish the yard. I would like to make it to Nighthawk stream in the morning, but I need to get up and hopefully get some sleep tonight and get up and get some work done before I can do that. Gemma is going to meet with Arisha, so she'll be busy all morning. She's got about an hour and a half to meet halfway, so I probably won't hear from her until later in the afternoon or evening. But thank you for coming in. I appreciate the gap session. All of you folks. I always enjoy these. That's why I only got one video in tonight, because I love talking, but I would like to do. One night we didn't even get a video in at all. And I felt bad because the whole idea to do Gemma's replays is we play older stuff. But I love these and I enjoy it. With all our technology, why haven't they found out to direct tornadoes away? Now that's a different story because, you know, they can manipulate weather to a certain degree, but they still don't have all the answers into it. In tornadoes, they're way, as far as I'm concerned, and from what I've seen personally, the hurricanes, they can be unpredictable, but you can still get a general idea of what they're going to do. Tornadoes, sometimes they just pop up out of nowhere. I mean, yeah, the weather science has gotten much better about giving you a good head warning that, hey, these are personal days that you might want to be watching. But, you know, the Weather Service, a weather report is really, they can only predict the weather up to 3 days, and not even really that. And I don't care what anybody tells you. I know that, you know, you can get a decent forecast for 3 days. After that, it's pretty much your guessing because things change. And tornadoes, I've literally watched tornadoes making 90-degree turns. And when you're standing in front of one, you really don't understand the awesomeness that they carry. I mean, they're almost like living beings. It's kind of creepy and scary. I watched this tornado make a 90-degree turn, all of us. There was 10 of us in 2 vehicles. And we literally, the sirens didn't go off, and then we watched it wipe out this town. I never cried so hard in my life because there was nothing we could do. We were too far away. We never made it there in time to warn these people. And that was in 79 out west. And luckily they had you know, most of the people survived. I don't think they only had a couple passings in that. And nothing, and that's never good, but it wiped that place out. And it was just a small farm town. And it wiped it out. It almost wiped it off. But to watch it make that 90-degree, it was like it saw that town out of the corner of an eye, and it made a 90-degree, and that's what it did. It went straight in. Nighthawk Center video of tornado, and it sounds like it has a yes. I'll tell you what, you stand in one front of one. You know when people tell you it sounds like a freight train coming? When you first get close, that's exactly what it sounds like. But when you get closer, the noises these things make your hair stand up. It's not pleasant. They're almost like a living entity. You know, it's just like fire and water too. You know, I've had friends in Japan when tsunamis hit, and they said things got weird. The water, as it comes to the city, would make weird noises on top of the crashing and electric and everything, but there would be other noises on top of that. So, yeah, you might be surprised what spirits are roaming around in these little things, entities. They remind me of the Titans from the creation stories. Yeah, well, they are kind of. Because the Titans then were huge. So you got to think in that direction. Thunder beam. Yeah, there you go. That's like the Thunderbird, too. I got a friend that swears he saw a Thunderbird up by Lake Erie when he was fishing up over the lake. He said that thing was huge, and it made a god-awful noise. He said it was like a screech that was ultra loud and ultra vibrating. He said you could feel it on the water. You could feel the boat. It was like if you heard a big foot squatch scream. And I don't think he ever told that story because he said there was 10 of them on that boat. They said they literally left because they kept flying around them. But it was so high up, but they knew it was huge. He said this thing was huge. That's another thing that a lot of people don't talk about is the Thunderbird. There's a story I read a while back ago about two cowboys. There was a farmer on a ranch out west. They don't give a whole lot of details, but the story's like really old. And this farmer his cattle was disappearing. And he kept saying this big bird was taking the cattle. It's kind of like that old picture you see of the soldiers with the giant pterodactyl. But from what the story I read was, this wasn't a pterodactyl. This was kind of like a dragon. And when these two guys were hired to come and see if they could kill it, and the thing killed one of his buddy, and when the guy described it, it sounded like a dragon. And he said it almost killed him and got away, and they'd never seen it since. But he said that they swear they ruined it. And that was like back in the 1800s. Hey, Latra, you're back. Had to shut down for a while. That's all right. No problem shutting down. But Thunder Beans, there's a good topic to go into. These are topics that I need to get Gemma to look into. I'm getting a lot. I noticed stuff is starting to recycle again along a lot of channels. It's time for some look at. Oh, the Thunderbird is cool. Oh, excuse me again. I did some AI art of that creature. Created a thunder god as well. Looks pretty cool. The Skinwalker came out decent as well. Did you post them? I haven't had a chance to go through my subscriptions, so if you posted them, I'm going to go check them out if you posted them. Or do you have you posted them on YouTube? Unless you posted them on Facebook, or I guess I do TikTok. Gemma's now doing Instagram. With Instagram, I had some issues. I had a lot of issues on Instagram. But I was on Twitter before it became X. And it was so crazy. I had a hard time keeping up with it and Instagram. I was on TikTok, but that was for something I was doing with comic books. And after that was done, I just got off. Me and Facebook, I'm surprised I was on Facebook. Me and Facebook went around a few times. Then I got back on for Gemma. Then they were messing with me again. It was like I had my friend follow list, whatever you want to call it. It was like one day I got in and half of them are gone. Just like my subscriptions. I have a problem with YouTube deleting subscriptions. And I'm like, what are you doing? The fire chicken. I've never heard of the fire. I posted some of the Skinwalker on. It's on YouTube Shorts. Okay, I'll go check them out. I had fun experimenting with trans and birds. There you go. The fire chicken. I had a maxed out 79 that yeah, the Trans Ams. I wasn't a Trans Am guy, but I had a buddy. He had two of them, and he loved those cars. They were fun to ride it. I had a few of those and Camaros. Now, my older brother had a 69 Camaro, and he didn't do a very good job taking care of it. That made him sell it. The guy he sold it to, man, pimped that. I shouldn't say pimped it out, but man, made that baby nice. And my brother got so jealous. He wanted to drive by it back. Like, no way. Your loss. Oh, yes. Pictures of blazing birds, flames flying. Yeah, those are. Now, the one he talked about over Lake Erie, he just said he said it had feathers. So I don't think it was like now some of the pterodactyls didn't. Chris, did some of the winged pterodactyls have feathers and stuff? But he said this thing was huge. He said at first they just thought it was a big old bald eagle and was trying to figure out why it was out in the middle of nowhere. But when I guess it hit the way he talked. It hit the sun just right, and they realized that it was leaving a big, huge shatter, and it was possibly a lot bigger than they thought. But he said when it started calling, he said they freaked out because he said you could feel it. And that's when they left. They headed back to shore. But he said they were way out there. He said if they would have gone there, they probably got in trouble for going across it into Canadian waters. Because he said every so often a cargo boat, they do transport boats, they would pass by. Radios, make sure they're okay. Yeah, we're just fishing. Just watch, because that water, those lakes, that weather in the lobe of the lakes can turn bad fast. I got an 82 Camaro IROC that looks like it was a prop on Mad Max. Really? That's cool. I like Camaros. I like the muscle cars. My dad's a muscle car guy, too. He's a mechanic. So my friends called it the Road Warrior. She was a rough ride. I had a Nova that my brother sold me for $200. This thing was a piece of junk. And they would call it the death machine. It was funny, though. But I drove that car for like 2 years before the tire rods finally gave out. And I just didn't feel like $200. I wasn't going to put money in. So I literally drove it till it died. Yeah, she's got taste in good stuff, huh? Latra. Oh, Latra, she says where she lives, Alberta, is Texas and Canada. The Texas of Canada. Go back and look at her comment. It's hilarious. I love it. He's the one who lives in Houston right now. You're living near Houston, right, Latra? I said, it's a shame Latra wasn't here to see that comment. Latra lives in Texas right now. Now I drive a 2015 Cadillac ATS. It's my boyfriend's car. I have a friend about a Cadillac. He had it for the first 2 years. He had it every time during the winter. He went to turn on the back defrosters. The window would blow out. He was like, I'm about ready to give this car up, but I love it too much. I will say, I drove it a couple times. You drop that baby on the highway and cruise. It's like sitting on a speedboat. You just kind of cruise. I mean, it's just a nice little cruise mobile. My grandfather used to say that they would make the earth rumble and shake when they fly over. He lived in the mountains on the DeKalb Reservation. Oh, yeah, and you hear a lot of those stories like that from that area and all the other areas, especially Arizona and out in west around California. So it was weird for him to tell me this up in Cleveland, out in Lake Erie. Now, maybe I could see that in one of the other lakes around Minnesota or Lake Michigan, but he swears by it. And he goes, you can talk to my buddy. We all watched it. He goes, I still wonder to this day if he ever told anybody else about it. But they don't go fishing in deep water anymore. That I know. I'll have to ask him next time I see him if he ever told anybody the story other than me and anybody else that was. I think it was a bunch of us sitting there when he told us the story. I'm in far northwest. Okay, Austin. Yeah, okay. I made a video of a Cadillac AI art. I also made the song. I play it in the Cadillac too. It's actually a good song and it's funny. Oh, wow, that's cool. I'm becoming a fan, Al. You like cars. You like being in the snow. You like drinking coffee in the snow. And it's hard to find anybody like that anymore. But yeah, I think, didn't you do, isn't that on your shorts? Isn't one of them, a couple of those on your shorts? Because I think I liked a bunch of that stuff last time I was on there. I do like your Dogman AIs. And there was another one. What was that? I like that stuff. I went and checked out a couple other people's stuff too. After looking at yours, it's pretty amazing. And then the guys came out with the Bigfoot stuff, and some of that stuff is just hilarious. If I did a song, I would want Weird Al. Weird I. Weird I. I was gonna say you meant Weird Al, but now we've been talking about AI. I'm like, maybe it's Weird AI now. Maybe Weird Al Yankovic wasn't real anybody. Maybe he was AI the whole time. That was bad. I should have just stopped where it was going. It's no longer a video. I think I did make a short out of it to hopefully draw people into the video. Now I got to go look. Now I got to go look. I'll tell you which one was my favorite. Actually, there was a bunch of them I really liked. Here we go. I like the new ones you're doing. The newer ones. I didn't see the last three. Oh, I like the pear crawlers. The ones you did, the pear crawler. Because that one you did almost looks like one I saw. Almost to the T. No, but it's not on here. The Bigfoot one's pretty cool. Your first two are cute. That's kind of like the stuff I was doing. But yeah, that pear crawler you did looks just like one I saw in 77. Yeah, it's no longer. Yeah, it's gone. I wrote the lyrics. You did? Man, you're real talented, aren't you? I used to draw. I still do. I don't know if you can see the Batman back there. I used to do promo art on the side, like freelance stuff for DC, make posters for them and stuff, copy and stuff like that. Copy what I call copy and paste art, where I just copied the art off of a comic book or a cover that's getting ready to come out and kind of change it up a bit. I just shake the drummer too much. I still try. Actually, the last thing I did, I sent to Gemma, and then I did a Garfield for somebody, and she's got that. Those were the last two. I still try, but now because I have a hard time, and I really love drawing, and it's hard now. So I started building models. I started going back to my old monster models and trying to find the old ones I used to have before I blew them up, and started rebuilding and painting them. You know those gargoyles? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The gargoyles that you buy, the plaster ones that people put out. I would take those and paint them, bring some life to them. And still, I've got one out there now I'm working on that I found, and it was somebody threw it away, and I saw it and I was like, he's not that bad. The only thing is it had a solar panel on the back, and it was holding a flame, and the flame was supposed to light up, and I couldn't get it fixed, so I just kind of patched it up and just started painting it. It looks pretty good. Now I'm putting glow in the dark on it to make it kind of glow in the dark in some areas. The crawler was a hard one to get right, and I still had to use Photoshop to fix it. Really, I'm telling you, when I saw that one, I was like, holy crap, somebody was seeing something I saw. Because it's pretty dang close to something I saw back in the day. And I've seen some different ones. Now, some of them, people give me a hard time because Actually, rake is more of the creepypasta call. But I don't know. There were some things that, because to me, a paracrawler you see around water, caves, sewage lines, the drainage tunnels and stuff like that. These things, what I call rakes, they live like out in the forest. Because that's the only place. And there's no caves around, no water, maybe creeks. But yeah, they're like a ghoul and they're creepy. And that thing you did, to me, looked like one of the paracrawlers I saw come out of a small cave one night when we were out camping. And we all saw it. And I wish we had cameras because it watched us and we watched it for a good couple minutes before it kind of showed its teeth and kind of growled and then booked the other way. And we just kind of stood there like, what the hell did we just see? Because back then I didn't know what to call it. I had no clue. Nobody ever talked about that stuff. They talked. So I didn't. And then later on, I heard paracrawler. Then I heard rake, where I heard rake first, and then I started looking at the rake creepypastas because they're also seeing it, like in the inner cities too. And paracrawlers are too, because you can supposedly find them in the sewers, which is possible because you see some of those footage where those things are down in the sewers. You think they're a form? That was meant to be a ghoul, or was it? You call it crawlers, but they are ghoul. That's what I think they are too. They're demonic, is what I believe. But for some reason, you hear of them attacking people or kind of bugging people. But I've never heard one go after people. But that one we saw was definitely a paracrawler. And that thing was creepy looking. It didn't bother me. I wasn't scared. Now, if it would have come at us, maybe that might have been a different story. But I think it was more shocked that it was seeing us. But man, and they had fangs, man. I mean, those teeth were small and sharp. And we all looked at each other and then looked at it, and it kind of perked up like an animal and turned around and just disappeared in the darkness. You could hear it running, and it sounded like it was running on all fours. But it was skinny, white, not much detail in the face. Unlike some of the other ones I've seen where their eyes were just black, these had eyes like that one does. That's why I said when I saw that, I was like, holy crap. Yes, that experience I had with my ex. He was the one that saw it. I saw the weird bright pulse of light, white light prior to him seeing it. He was closer to the window, so we got up and looked. That's kind of like the sounds people hear when there's certain like buzzing noises and bright lights. It may have come through a portal. Is that what you think? I think it may have been teller light. Then we got absolutely sick for 24 hours later. Never been sick like that before or since. Wow. Now we didn't get sick, but I've heard people after stuff like that have been getting sick for like a while. Really bad sick. I mean, it like messes with them. So that's interesting. That's very interesting. You got my brain going. Because, yeah, if you saw a bright light pulse, my guess it probably came through a portal. And that might have even affected you, depending on how close you were. He was closer to the window, so he got up and looked. So was it like outside the window, like real close? Or was it like a little distance away? It was silent, though. Maybe it was a portal. See, that's the thing. I've heard of flashing, like you talk, pulsating light. and then something was there. Gemma has talked about. I've heard stories about people hearing a noise, then like a pop. It was just across the alley, maybe 15 feet away. Oh, okay. That's not that far. So, yeah. Interesting. You should write that down and send it to Gemma. She's looking for encounter stories, listener encounter stories. I love her when she does those. I love listener encounters. It's like now I'm going to have to send her more of my stories because, unfortunately, because of my issue, I'm not a very good storyteller. I get tongue-tied. But I don't mind telling the little stuff because I can easily say, well, I saw this today and I saw this today. But we went to the birthday party and it was really cool because one of my ex-nieces, I call them ex-nieces because me and the wife are divorced and it's family on her side. And she's a sweetie anyway. Well, she just had a baby and already had a little one. And those cutest buttons. And her husband, I never met her husband. And he was standing there talking to me. And I don't know. My theory on ghosts have changed a little bit over the last year or so. But whatever was standing behind him was very good. I don't know if it was his father or father and grandfather. But there was definitely a being, a human at one time. And they were protecting him. But he seemed like a super nice guy, hardworking guy, does construction, good head on his shoulders. And when he was standing and holding that baby, that thing, I could see it behind him, and it just had a glow about it. It wasn't dark and scary. It was glowing. Ugh. I'll look for the video I made of the arena and send it. That would be cool. Of the area. That would be really cool because I would love you to send that to Gemma and I can give her that video that she can play it while she tells the story. That would be a cool effect. I'll tell you what, you want to hear two of them. I have a couple stories she's done already, but I see a black-eyed kid in hospitals and nursing homes now. I've also seen them in the doctor's office, but it started off at hospitals. And I'm not just talking one particular hospital. All the hospitals around me, I've spent time in little of them. And he's not your average black-eyed kid. He wears bib overalls and a red and white striped shirt. Kind of looks like Dennis the Menace with black hair. No, not much facial features. He's probably about, he looks like he's about 12, 14 years old. In that age group, because he's kind of tall, white face. But the thing with him, his eyes are not black. That whole area is just solid black mass. And I've seen him standing outside of rooms. I've asked the nurses, who's the kid down the hall that looks like Dennis the Menace? And they would be like, what? I had one nurse go, yep, you're in a hospital, all right. Now, in one hospital, they know me by name. Well, because I'm always in this one part of the hospital, neurology part. And they would tell me stories. But I can't find anybody else. Well, I think I found a couple people that might see him too. But it's weird. And then she's got that story when I first started seeing him. And she's got my Hat Man story when I was a kid. That happened in school, and it was following a teacher, and that was probably the first time I'd ever been. Well, I was young too. I was only in 5th grade. That probably was the first time that I was scared so bad that when they found me after seeing it, I don't remember going to the corner of the room and cuddling up in the ball. I don't remember any of that. All I remember is it was following this teacher. It turned around and looked at me, and I had no face. It was all blackness, and that smiled. And like a Jacqueline on her teeth. And it smiled and looked at me. And that's the last thing I remember. Next thing I know, I've got a teacher standing over me in a corner, asking me if I'm okay, what's going on. And then the next thing I know, my dad was there. Next thing I know, I was being taken home. And then I live in an apartment complex over a ways here. And the kid above me that moved in above me was an ex-addict. And he was a great musician. Great heavy metal voice. The place was cursed already. There were a lot of bad things that happened in this building before they cleaned it up and fixed it. And well, I'd seen the demon myself. And that was probably those 2 times that happened, and that were probably 2 times I was probably the scariest I've ever been. But yeah, she loves those encounters. So yeah, write it down, send me the video. I'll give her the whole works. And I would love to hear. She's good at telling stories. That's what she does. I showed the window. It was seen from and where the creature was. Oh, cool. I like stuff like that when people actually show details. What are you laughing out loud, Trev? Oh, a pumpkin. And it's funny because on the steam yard, it looks like an orange happy face. And then I look over at YouTube and then I realized it was a pumpkin. I had a guy tell me a story. He was a truck driver, actually. Tell me a story that he had actually seen Pumpkinhead. And I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I was out up in North Michigan. And this thing come out of a tree, and I swear it had a pumpkin head. I asked if it was on fire. He goes, no, but it was definitely a pumpkin head. And it was running, and it wasn't very big. And I go, you saw a pumpkin head? And he goes, yeah. And he was serious. I said, some of the things people see, you almost got to believe him, because even when he told me the story, it was like, you could see it in him. He was like, he was still trying to make sense of it. I do have it written down, saved on SD card somewhere. There you go. If you could find that. Seriously. I love listening to people's encounters. And I can usually, within the first couple minutes of the story, I could probably tell you they're exaggerating, but most of the stories I've heard, there's only been probably, because when I got done, when I couldn't ghost anymore, well, we still did it even during the ghost. We'd like to go get in the car and just drive around Ohio. And we'd stop at these diners and truck stops, and we'd get these people to talk about weird things that go on in the area. You would be shocked how people open up. Oh yeah, this is legend here and there's a legend here. The stories you get, and truckers and ambulance drivers. I've heard some really good stories from both of them. A few cops, I'm sure Blue Crossroads, he'll tell you there's weird stuff, because the cops deal with, when he was serving, the cops deal with the weird stuff all the time. I did a hand that story into Paranormal First some time ago, and he did it. He did use it on a show, just not the images or the videos. I think it's important to use that stuff. That helps the person kind of really get. That's why these shows on TV are so big, because it gets that person involved in the story. When you have some sight and some sounds and some images to go with, or I should say images and sounds to go with that, it makes it more real to the person. Though I'd love just listening to stories too, because you can see in some of the stories I've heard, you can see it in the people's faces that whatever they saw was legit. And they definitely saw something, and it definitely freaked them out. And now I want to do it again, because the veil is lifting. I can only imagine if we did that again right now, the stories I would hear even more. You just go out and get people talking. It's just amazing. You're getting these small diners, the stories that you would hear. My dad, about 3 months ago, told me a story about his dad. That there was his grandfather had a farm out in Chillicothe, and the neighbor next to him was burning stuff, and the fire wouldn't grow out, and they couldn't get the fire out, but it stayed where it was supposed to be. He fed it, and it just wouldn't go out, but the flames kept getting higher. And they said that Dad said that the farmer told my grandfather that you can actually see a demon's face in the fire, and they were afraid to get near the fire. But Dad says his dad went to Grandpa's and said that it was real. He said there was all kinds of people like staying back, but you could see this thing in the fire. And I go, wow. And he goes, no, I'm serious. I go, you're kidding. Because he doesn't talk about that stuff. He's a UFO guy. And now he's just now getting, he lived in the Logan area. He lived in Chillicothe next to Mount Airy. And he always goes, I never saw a Bigfoot playing up in those mountains and stuff, a big squatch or anything. I go, because first of all, you guys did talk about it, but was kind of kept quiet from the kids. They didn't want to scare the kids unless they didn't want the boogeyman to get them. But I told him, I said, there's a big change. You didn't see him because he saw you first. It gives people a better idea where things exactly. And I think that's good. It's good to hear the story, and I love that. But when you have media to go with it, makes it even better. Creeps me out to know how many times I walked back there at night and there was no lighting by the door either. Just dark and empty, dark and creepy. Ooh. So do you still live there now? And the question is, since that happened and that area crosses the way, does it still give off a creepy vibe? I mean, you already said you walk by and it's still dark and creepy, but I mean, is it like a tense, like you really don't like to be around that area now, even like during the day? No, that happened in, okay. Because things like that leave a residue. And sometimes that residue hangs around for a while. I was just curious. And stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about. Most, I think, people do here. And that's another thing. People don't talk about, they talk about the event, but they don't talk about the aftermath of after seeing something like that. Or even when it comes to a missing person where somebody would walk around the corner and then be gone. The aftermath is them looking for that person. But it's always amazing that I'm talking about the aftermath when that person shows back up and they're so confused and dazed and they don't know what happened. Because sometimes that happens, But there's always some kind of residue or aftermath that people don't talk about. If that makes sense. What time is it? I thought you were supposed to be cleaning anyways. No, it's 1:58. Yeah, I'll call it 2. I'll be 2 hours. I can go for that. And then I give me some, go take a break. I go do my Tai Chi and stretch a little bit and try to get my body to calm down before I try to call it somewhat of an evening. It never creeped me out as much since I didn't know what that thing was back there. But yeah, now you learn more information about it. It starts to get a little under your skin. Thought it was naked, some naked contorted. I've heard that before too. Oh, maybe it's just somebody messing with you. They were able to do that. Never saw the sunlight. Maybe the neck got sore thinking about it. Yeah, I can imagine twisting around. Oh, you are cleaning? You're cleaning and talking at the same time. Well, I appreciate you hanging with me. There are people watching, enjoying the conversation. So thank you, folks. Like I said, just make sure you leave a like. And donations are a big help. It's even just a couple bucks. So, there's this information. I don't push the super chat and stickers only because YouTube takes half of it. So I don't push that. You can donate, all our information's in there. Please do so. It helps the channel a lot. And I think Gemma really wants to really change up and kind of grow into other things. Yeah, like that. Yeah, I am. You better be clear. Just kidding. Since it seems to be we're the communicators right now. This is like the night me and Edna went to like 5 o'clock in the morning. It was almost 5 o'clock when we stopped. And we were just having a blast. People would come in and laugh with us. It was a good time. So yeah, I'm enjoying this. Alatro's coming in, going. I'm sorry about that, folks. Yeah. That probably actually, Al, that's probably what I'm gonna do. I'll go do my Tai Chi, come in, make sure nobody dropped any dishes. Like I can't stand waking up the dishes. Make sure nobody did any late night snacking while I was in here gabbing. Kind of clean up a little bit around the house. That will take a little bit of chore work off me in the morning so I can work on the yard that I didn't finish because I forgot that I wasn't paying attention to time. She laughed. I really appreciate that. And I have been checking out Paranormal Portal. I was in there tonight. I mean, he's starting to recognize me. So he's seen me in there a couple times. At first it did click, and then I realized I was subscribed to him. And I had been watching him. I don't say a whole lot. So you were in there the whole time I was in there. I usually, there's like 3 or 4 channels I watch. I keep them on in the background because I like the conversations and I love what they got to say. So I just let them play in the back. Hey, there's AK Willie. You figures I'm getting ready to say bye and you're coming and say, I'm in no rush. So how you doing, sir? How's Alaska treating you? Oh, you just wanted to say hi? I'm glad you stopped in. You're another person when I don't see you for a while. I just hope you're doing okay. And I love the fact you come in. Are you grilling? What you making? If you're making anything. Or you're taking it easy tonight and ate peanut butter and jelly. Which is good to do once in a while. I'm glad you stopped in, AK. Life's been good to you, I hope. You're getting ready for the winter up there. It's been actually pretty decent for you guys up there, hasn't it? Grilled some boring chicken breasts. We had chicken tonight, but he kind of kicked it up a notch. The ex-husbands, he loving that smokers. He got 3, I think, like I said, 3 or 4 smokers, a couple grills. He was going for it today. The only thing he didn't make that he does really good is brisket. He makes a killer brisket. But he made chicken wings, the regulars, just a little more flavorful. And then I have to say, my ex makes a killer homemade sloppy Joe. I always liked. So she made a big thing because the kids like it. So she made a big thing of that. So we chowed good tonight. My middle daughter, Samantha, makes it. Has got the pasta salads down. She always makes a wicked pasta salad. And I'm not a big pasta salad guy, but I like hers. Now, I make it for Dad and never touch it. But hers, she puts pepper. I mean, she goes all out. They're really good. And she leaves out some of the stuff that I don't eat. But, chicken breast. It usually is pretty boring. Unless you kick it up a notch. And even then, chicken breasts are still pretty boring. So I guess you got a point there. I hope you're good, sir. I hope you're being all right up there. I still kind of regret not moving out there. But since Al said Alberta, where she's at, is the Texas of Canada, maybe I'll go check up around north again. Like I still got a buddy up there somewhere in the Northern Territory. So his dad says they're gonna start worrying after Christmas. His mom said give him another year before he speaks up. Because it's been about 6 months since I heard from him. He left an email. I emailed him back, but I never heard back. So I know him getting internet up there is, I don't know what, if he's has access to Elon's little orbs. Do you really? Wow. We expect glacial flood any day now. Any day? Really? I was going to say, because I know you guys have had some really good warm days up there. So that kind of doesn't surprise me, but surprises me. Wow. When you get done out, will you get come over here and do some cleaning for me? I'll help. I could use the help. So do they have like warnings for that, AK? I mean, do they put out like, hey, man, ice, the snow's melting fast. Be aware. Or, this is a glacial warning, flood warning. Do they actually kind of announce it like that? Or do they just say, hey, watch for this or that? I didn't even think about stuff like that. Because it has been pretty warm. What's your temperature's been like up there? I know Canada's been really super warm. Haven't you guys been warm lately too? Al, you guys have been like above average temperatures this year too. If you're still able to speak. S. Basin, I can't say the name without YouTube having an account, but I'll just say A. Basin is where floods come from. There's a live cam that you can see. Oh, really? I'm going to have to go check that out. That's a cam I probably missed. Yeah, it's been hot. It was decent yesterday, though. See, it was real decent here last. It started Thursday night. Friday was nice. Like I said, the air quality was real crappy, but I mean, low 70s Friday. It was comfortable. We were both happy other than just the air quality, but there was no humidity. I mean, it was beautiful. Today was the same way. This time the air quality was much better. The wind was more blowing kind of a south coming. It was like a swirling wind, so it was kind of like more going south. So it kind of seemed to be pushing the smoke away from us today. And it was a beautiful day today. I mean, I'm glad I went to the birthday party and made him go because it was, the sun's hot. You sit direct sun, you feel it. So the sun's cooking. But it was beautiful. I mean, you got in the shade, it was comfortable. And like I said, now I think it's dropped even more. We're down to 59 degrees already. But I know pretty much everybody north of us have been above their normal highs for the season. So do you now, because I've never really been I've never been to Canada. Is the humidity crazy there too? Do you guys get a lot of humidity? So I don't know the landscape where you're at. I mean, like when we were even starting to cool down at night and it's like 7 degrees when we were having the heat, the heat index was still making it, I feel like almost 90, 95 degrees because of the humidity. I have to check out that cam though. I didn't know they had a cam on it. Well, I probably should have known. I probably did it one time. Some years it will get muggy, not every year at least. Oh, that's cool. I mean, here, when summer comes, especially spring, because you start feeling that humidity. Well, looky there. How'd I wake you up, Edna? Now, don't lie to me, young lady. You've been watching the whole time, haven't you? I didn't wake you up, or I might have. But I didn't say your name 3 times. I did bring you up a couple times, so mosquitoes and Kenner will carry you off. Is that true? Hello, dear. How you feeling? My dad was hurting today, but man, I'm glad I made him go to the birthday party. He left with a full belly and a smile on his face. He does. He actually he doesn't want to go, and then he gets there, and then he has a good time. And he loves because everybody waits on him. Here, Grandpa, let me get you more food. Here, Grandpa, let me do this for you. Here, Grandpa. Pain woke me up, so you're so I'm off the hook. Nah, I don't like that. I'd rather be on the hook in that case. I hate waking up from pain, but I don't know what's worse, the pain or the rocking. It's weird sensation when you wake up in full rock. I will tell you that. It's just a weird sensation because it's like you're coming out of some freak thing. Maybe out in the bush. I love people. You guys are great. Thank you. I'm going to leave with a smile. I was in a good mood when I came in. I'm going to leave in a better mood. And Edna showing up always puts me in a good mood. Because when Edna's in here poking fun at herself and everybody else, that's a good thing. Yeah. She let me off the hook, so I'll take that any day. I've had a numerous pain this week. Seems like my nerves are healing in my feet. Oh, really? I'm giggling because the way you said it. Wow. My pain doesn't get bad unless the muscle. See, the tremors get bad. When the tremors get real bad, then I start having muscle spasms. And then I would cramp, like trolley horses in my body. Or I'd freeze up. I'd do stuff like this. And I'd literally like curl up and just lock. That's when the pain really kicks in. Because even after I'm free and feeling more comfortable, that pain lingers for hours. Same thing with the muscle spasm. A lot of people having a bad time. I'm blaming and this weather, I'm right there with you when it comes to that because today was nice here, and you could see it. Dad was having problems with his knees, but it wasn't like it was more. It showed more age today than it was just the weather. You can tell the difference. We dropped 30 degrees temp. Oh yeah, when I started here, we were in the 70s. At the beginning of my stream, we were in the 70s. We're down to 59 right now. So yeah, I'm digging the cool nights. Like I told her, like I was telling Al and everybody that's been here, Friday it was beautiful here, but the air quality sucked. But no humidity. It was just so comfortable. But like I said, you sit in the sun, you feel that sun. You can almost feel it burning you. But you go in the shade, it was like nice. The same way today. You sat in the sun, you felt the sun. I mean, you felt it, and you could feel it burning you. But as soon as you got in the shade out of that sun, though you could feel the actual temperature, how good it felt. Fall is coming early this year. You think so? I think we're going to have a very interesting winter. Now, I used to try to predict the winters because I love the snow, and I gave up because last year I got pretty much on the nose. This year I'm not sure because this weather pattern is so crazy, and I really think the Earth is wobbling big because that's what affects your weather patterns too. Make sure you have not do all that stuff. My body, it's a birth defect. I don't think people freak out when I tell. Not many people know that Tourette's is not a hereditary thing. It's a birth defect. So they also think it may be caused by prenatal drugs. But my mom didn't do any of that stuff, I don't think. And from what she says, she didn't. So, and I may be the only family wanting to have it out of all generations, which is not uncommon, I guess. But there are days it's pretty obvious. I would love to be working, But it was getting to the part where I'd get a good 8 hours going by halfway through the day, or by the end of the day, I was just like, oh crap. I thought the earth was flat, though. Just, hey, I'm not going to say the earth is flat. We already know it's pretty much ball. But there are people who are diehards about that flat earth thing. And it's always fun to watch them try to prove it. And they end up making their own income. They end up trying to make conclusions out of something they know. It's just funny. But I got to give them credit because there are some biblical records that make it sound like we are flat. I think it's taken in a wrong context. Let's put it that way. But that's my personal feeling. But I have no problem. I just get a kick out of flat earthers because they try too hard. They're trying to show the physical. There's other ways. If you want to prove something, there's other ways to do it than the way you guys are doing. Because all you're doing is proving everybody else is right. Yes, I do all that, Latra. Yep. See, you get. I don't. People react, and I will say this. People react differently to different things. We're all the same, but we're not. I've had to add loading too. Oh, have you, Ed? Oh, that was Latra. We are floating on a turtle's back. Everyone knows that. Yes, we are. I know Flat Earth Dave Weiss convinced me that the Earth is not, in fact, flat. He's a character, too. Why are you liking that, too? Your toilet water would swirl if the Earth wouldn't swirl if the Earth was flat. It spirals through. Yes. We know that. But there are some diehards out there, man. Like Dave Weiss. I mean, he's proved he's a big guy, but he does it just cracks me up. But I don't like making fun of him too, because what happens by some free chance they turn out to be right? A lot of people talk about the ice wall. So you go look on the flight plan, the flight course, the site where all your planes are at. It's crazy. But you notice a lot of planes go a certain pattern and they go around certain ways. So why is that? Why do they make trips longer not going straight across? You got to stop and wonder about that. Like when they leave Japan, they go up all the way around the ocean. They don't cut across. Those people are like sovereign citizens. I'm not driving, officer. I'm trying. You got a point. It's true, though. You're right on the nose on that. Watch him debate with Professor. Now I watched him a couple times. I'm like, this guy's just proving himself wrong every day. Or maybe he does just for fun. I don't know. But there are a few. But like I said, wouldn't everybody freak out if they turned out to be right? I can hear them now. Dancing and going. But we know that's not true. So Edna, since you're awake, could you go get me a cup of coffee? Get it yourself. I'm in bed. Even though I'm awake, I'm in bed watching you on my tab. I believe in science. I still believe in science, but not like I used to. That will be the day. I basically was just going to say that. And I think some science is legit. But that's another thing. Scientists are like astronomers. They don't tell you everything. They only tell you what they're allowed to tell. Because they are supervised. Scientists, astronomers, they're all supervised. Kept in check. You can't tell them this and you can't tell them that. I don't care what anybody says. I know people who would tell you that that's true. Even Carl Sagan openly admitted that there was things that he was not allowed to talk about and was asked to kind of divert the question. Because he didn't never openly admitted that there could be life out there, but yet he did in ways that wouldn't ruffle feathers. Let's say that's like Stephen Hawking. There's things that he probably knew that he never said. I'm glad you popped in, Edna. But I'm probably going to get off here pretty soon. I got to get up in the morning and finish my work so I can. William Nighthawk wants me to be there, and I kind of like being on the show, but I don't know if I'll go on. Depends on how I'm able. Voice box wise, if I'm going to be able to do the show, because sometimes in the morning it's when I'm working worse. And a lot lately I've been waking up stuttering and taking a little bit before I can even take my mumble into an actual coherent voice. I say the same way I believe healers and midwives are scientists, primitive, yes, but yeah, it's still medicine. It is. I'll agree with you there. It was actually Hawkins' attendant who came up with the hard stuff. Oh, I know. Well, there was somebody, I don't know who it was, I read somewhere, and this was a while ago. Hold on. Pardon me, folks. That always said that. It was somebody I actually knew, but he was a teacher. And he would always say, Einstein wasn't as smart as everybody thinks he was. He just sounded smart. I'm like, well, you did this and this and this. He's like, yeah, but you don't think these guys work alone, do you? There was always somebody in the room with them. It's a good guy. Well, good night, Al. I think I may go ahead. What time we got? I'm gonna take it to 2:30. Al, thanks for hanging out with me. Hope to see you again. You have a wonderful night. You have a wonderful Sunday. We all. I'm gonna interrupt now. I gotta read Edna's chat. We were given everything we need. Yep, we were. Everything that we needed was put on the surface and tried to replicate. That's just like us talking about genetics earlier. Them genetically creating animals. They're not cloning, they're genetically creating. A clone is almost an exact replica. What these guys are doing is they're filling in the DNA genetically. And now, once you go back and get some rest, I think I am going to go ahead and call it. 2.5 hours is good, or 20 minutes. I'm glad you stopped in, though, Edna. I do think about you and Lois. And like I said, I do have a prayer book. You guys, now some other people have moved up. So, but I do. I'm glad you were there last night, too. Just hang in there, Edna. I know you're going through it. Just hang in there, baby. You're strong. Send me one of those sweet baby melons when they start to ripen. That plant was huge, man. You guys Sure, wake me up and split. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to make sure. I've been since a week ago, last Thursday. My tremors have been kind of. I'm surprised I lasted this long, and I'm glad I did. It was so good to be here tonight. And last night I was worried because actually after I got done with stream, that morning I woke up and I could barely talk. And I was just having the worst time getting words out. So I guess and they told me this would be coming. So I just didn't think so soon. And I'm good. And I've been sleeping. I mean, my brain gets some sleep. My body is still going 1,000 miles a minute. Hey man, when you've done it since you were 2, you get used to it. It's just catching up with it. And there's no way. I mean, we've tried everything. God bless these doctors. Now, there are some doctors I did fight with because I didn't like their methods, but at least they were trying something. My mom and dad dealt with it when I was a kid, and it drove them nuts. They just gave up because they saw me just dealing with it, and I told them, Dad, quit waiting. Stop wasting money. We're never going to get an answer because nobody seems to understand it. But now, at least I got answers. Now, stopping it, probably won't. I'll probably be like this until the day I go. I'll even probably be in my coffin rocking. I'll be rocking and rolling away. Anyways, folks, and to get some rest, and thank you. I know you do, huh? You folks have a wonderful Sunday. Thanks for hanging out. It was a good night. At least I actually got an upload in. We got one of Gemma's uploads in tonight. The last time, about 2 weeks ago, we didn't even do an upload. We just chatting away. I love those nights. Must have been heartbreaking for them to see. They didn't talk a whole lot about it. But when my hair turned white, their attitudes changed toward me. And the only time I got in trouble was when I deserved to, but I was pretty much left alone after that. But yeah, when I was going up to watch them standing there and trying to figure out what was going on with doctors, and the doctors were like having no clue. Yeah, it was kind of, I felt bad for them because they felt bad for me. And I'm just like, I'm okay. I'm okay. As long as you keep me busy, I'm okay. And as long I told them, when you're 9 years old, telling your mom and dad, look, I'm going to be okay. As long as I stay busy and move forward, I'll be fine. You folks, okay, let's try this again. Folks, have a wonderful night. Thank you, Edna, Al, Vixen, Latra, Andrew, Uso, Nightwing, all you folks have been watching in the background. You guys have a wonderful AK. I hope you have a good Sunday too. Thank you for stopping in. Enjoy your your boring chicken breasts. See if I miss anything. Jules, you have a wonderful night if you're still out there. Thank you for stopping in, hon. Chris, you have a good night. Miss Cindy Lee, if you look back on this, I want you to have a wonderful night. You folks all take care. Be well. Edna, Al, the folks over here wandering around. Much love to you, all of you folks. Thanks for making my night. I'm leaving with a smile. You have a wonderful Sunday. Have a good beginning of the week. Remember to keep an eye on YouTube for Gemma's premiere on Tuesday at 10. I don't know which video she's doing. She had a couple in mind. I think she told me, but I didn't write it down. That's on me, and I didn't keep the text. So I usually like to wait to do it when she puts up a actual thumbnail on YouTube. Anyways, that way I don't screw it up. So I hope to see you then. I should be here for that. Night, everybody. Bless you all. Much love to you all. And I'm rambling again. I just hate saying goodnight when we're having good nights like this. But folks, I'll see you on the flip side. Get some rest. I'm going to go run around the house 5 times, do Tai Chi, chase the deer out of the neighborhood, and then try to go to bed. So have a wonderful night. Sleep well.